After leaving the demon race secret realm and returning to Nanshan Immortal City, several days passed, and Li Tongyu decided to leave with Bai Ji, heading for the northern Devil region. Their journey to the Nanming domain had come to a point where they needed to part ways. At the final moment of parting, a few of them gathered for a joyous celebration at the drunken Immortal Pavilion. After the celebration, Li Tongyu departed. After Li Tongyu's departure, it was time for Lin Jing and Li Qingqing along with others to leave. Days later, Li Qingqing had arranged everything for the Li family and then left Nanshan Immortal City with Lin Jing, Lin Jiu, and Yiyun. After this departure, Lin Jing planned to take them directly to the Elixir Alliance, naturally including Luo Luo. After bidding farewell to Ningyu, Luo Luo left with Lin Jing. Ningyu, as the current family head of the Ning family, naturally needed to consider the whole Ning family. She did not leave, but stayed at the Ning family's residence in Lincian City. Although Ningyu didn't leave, Lin Jing had a conversation with Ningyu and the old ancestor of the Ning family before leaving. Now, here in the Nanming domain, it was indeed not suitable for cultivators to cultivate or for families to develop. Even though Lin Jing had taken away the samsara holy fruit, which was the root cause of all these changes, it was not something that could be restored overnight to the South Continent's domain of Ming from 1,000,000 years ago. It would take at least several tens to hundreds of millions of years for the Nanming domain to possibly recover slowly and become a sought-after cultivation holy land again. Now, leaving the Nanming domain seemed more appropriate. Furthermore, both Ningyu and the old ancestor of the Ning family were nascent soul cultivators, and their family's strength was not weak. Thus, Lin Jing invited Ningyu to take her family to develop in the Thousand Islands domain, where both the density of spiritual energy and the cultivation resources far surpassed those of the Nanming domain. This location was also more suitable for the development of the Ning family. After some consideration, both felt that this proposition was feasible. However, since the Ning family was already deeply rooted in Lincian City, even if they wanted to leave, they would need some time to prepare in advance. Later, they replied to Lin Jing, deciding to handle all affairs of the Ning family in Lincian City over a few years before relocating en masse to the Thousand Islands domain. Agreeing with their decision, Luo Luo was delighted that in the Thousand Islands domain, under Lin Jing's protection, Ningyu, as the family head, would have a much easier time. Even if Luo Luo wanted to return to visit Ningyu, it would be much more convenient. After leaving, the group returned to the Thousand Islands domain. Upon returning to the Thousand Islands domain, Lin Jing left alone for a few days. Days later, Lin Jing returned, bringing the metallic attribute 5 elements true spirit, and went to find the divine toad. He then traded the 5 elements true spirit with the divine toad. The divine toad, overjoyed to get the 5 elements true spirit he wanted, couldn't wait to go into retreat to hit the solidifying body stage. Lin Jing then left the divine toad's place and went to Spirit Rock Island to find the old ancestor of the Yin family. Before going to the Nanming domain, Lin Jing had said he would help increase their cultivation, and he naturally would not go back on his word. Thus, 6 months passed in the blink of an eye. After 6 months of refinement, the divine toad finally refined the metallic attribute 5 elements true spirit, gathered all 5 elements within himself, and was ready to undergo tribulation to enter the solidifying body stage. The divine toad undergoing tribulation, Lin Jing and the old ancestor of the Yin family naturally offered their help. With their assistance, the divine toad safely overcame the heavenly tribulation and entered the solidifying body stage. With the old ancestor of the Yin family's cultivation enhanced and helping the divine toad reach the solidifying body stage, Lin Jing had essentially completed what he came back to do. Next, it was time for them to leave. Just as Lin Jing was planning to leave, suddenly, a joyful wedding invitation arrived from the inner sea to the Thousand Islands domain. Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang had already set an auspicious time to get married and extended a special invitation to Lin Jing and his group to attend the wedding. Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang, after so many twists and turns, had finally attained their deserved fruition. Seeing the wedding invitation, Lin Jing couldn't help feeling happy for them and definitely planned to attend their wedding. It happened that they were planning to leave and return to the Elixir Alliance anyway. After attending the wedding, Lin Jing and his group could directly return from the Inner Sea to the Elixir Alliance, making it even more convenient. So, after making some preparations, Lin Jing took Li Qingqing, Lin Ju, Yiyun, and Luo, preparing to leave the Thousand Islands domain. Before leaving, Lin Jing met with the old ancestor of the Yin family and the Divine Toad once more to inform them of his departure, and then asked them to take extra care of Yutian Island and Lian Island. Upon hearing this, they quickly assured him that they would definitely protect Yutian Island and Lian Island. After meeting the old ancestor of the Yin family and the Divine Toad, Lin Jing then left with the group. Departing from the southern outer sea, it took over 2 months for the group to reach the Inner Sea. It was only when they arrived at the Inner Sea that they learned how lively the event of Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang getting married was. The Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan were top forces in the demon and monster-filled Inner Sea, so the extent of the liveliness was imaginable without saying much. Even before the wedding had begun, the event had already spread throughout the entire Inner Sea. Most cultivators in the Inner Sea were talking about it. The groom was the son of Lu Jingtao, the alliance hierarch of the Shocking Seas Alliance, and the bride came from the ancient alchemy family of the Cangyun clan, a direct descendant. This union, causing such a sensation, was quite natural. Moreover, to celebrate this event, the Cangyun clan's Cangyun Pill Pavilion had even boldly announced, regardless of who it was, anyone who purchased elixir medicines from the Cangyun clan within a month of the wedding day would receive a 20% discount. The Cangyun clan had such an initiative, and the Shocking Seas Alliance naturally could not be without a response. Although the Shocking Seas Alliance did not have an elixir pavilion, they did have other businesses. In other businesses, the Shocking Seas Alliance also offered certain discounts. Besides the Cangyun clan and the Shocking Seas Alliance, even the Seven Seas Hall announced a statement. Any cultivator who possessed an invitation and was traveling to the Cangyun clan to attend the marriage ceremony could ride the teleportation arrays of the Seven Sea cities without any fee. It was completely free of charge. Ever since Mingyi's failure, with the control having returned to the hands of the Hall Master of the Seven Seas Hall, the Hall Master of the Seven Seas Hall reconciled with both the Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan. All 3 parties had been in conflict because of Mingyi, but now Mingyi had become a common enemy for all 3 parties. Naturally, the previous discontent among them was resolved. After discussions between the Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan, the location of their wedding was set on Jinghai Island, where the headquarters of the Shocking Seas Alliance was located. When Lin Jing and his party arrived at Jinghai Island, there was still some time before the day of the wedding, half a month away. At this time, however, the headquarters of the Shocking Seas Alliance was already adorned with lanterns and colored banners, all in a festive atmosphere. As Lin Jing and his company reached Jinghai Island, Youjiu and several others were informed and hurriedly came out to greet them. However, it wasn't just Youjiu and his group who had come to welcome them. Lu Jingtao, Youjiu's father, along with the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, also arrived. Lin Jing, now not only Youjiu's friend, but also the successor of the Lin family, and having joined the Elixir Alliance, was currently the 9th elder within it. Therefore, when Lin Jing arrived, the Shocking Seas Alliance naturally could not continue to treat him with the courtesy due a junior member of the family. Even though Lin Jing was an elder of the Elixir Alliance, his cultivation and age, by comparison, were still far inferior to theirs. Plus, considering his friendship with Youjiu. Hence, when meeting Lu Jingtao and the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, Lin Jing did not act arrogant or complacent because of his status as an elder of the Elixir Alliance, but instead greeted them with the etiquette due from a junior. This junior pays respects to Elder Lu, Elder Song. When Lu Jingtao heard Lin Jing's greeting, he quickly spoke up. Now that you are an elder of the Elixir Alliance, you represent the Elixir Alliance when you are outside. Your status has changed. There's no need for you to use the courtesy of a junior. Let pass this time, but remember for the next time. Lin Jing nodded and replied, Thank you for the reminder, Elder Lu. I am fully aware. However, although I'm an elder of the Elixir Alliance, whether in terms of age or cultivation or considering our relationship, I am still a junior. Addressing the two elders with juniors etiquette is not unreasonable. To address the two elders with a junior's etiquette is also in keeping with the etiquette of the cultivation world, and it will not dishonor the Elixir Alliance. Even if our alliance hierarch sees me, he would certainly not blame me. In the cultivation world, in addition to ranking by cultivation and age, relationship and lineage are also taken very seriously. Although Lin Jing is now an elder of the Elixir Alliance, whether by his age, cultivation, or the position he currently holds in relationships, he is invariably a junior. In the face of Lu Jingtao and the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, it was natural that he should behave with the courtesy due from a junior. The Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance was an old man with grizzled hair and a stooped figure. Though he appeared very elderly, occasional glimpses of the energy emanating from him revealed that he was anything but simple, likely, like the ancestors of the Cangyun clan, a peak Mayana cultivator who had practiced for countless years. Hearing Lin Jing's words, the Supreme Elder looked at him approvingly and nodded, saying, Unperturbed by honor or disgrace, not bad. Jingtao has been praising you a lot before, saying you are quite remarkable. It seems Jingtao was not wrong about you. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing bowed to the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance and said, You flatter me, Elder. The Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance looked at Lin Jing and smiled as he spoke. With your current cultivation and status, there shouldn't be much that is difficult for you. What you lack now should be your own power base. Do you have any thoughts in this regard? If you have such intentions, you can come to me anytime, and I will spare no effort to help you rebuild the Lin family. Upon hearing these words, Lin Jing was momentarily startled, then quickly responded, hurriedly bowing to the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance. Thank you for your generous offer. Regarding the rebuilding of the Lin family, I indeed have some thoughts, but now is not quite the right time. With my current level of cultivation, try to rebuild the Lin family, I'm afraid, will still be quite difficult. I need to practice and temper myself more. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance said with a smile, It seems you already have some ideas in mind. In that case, I'll say no more. Should you have any needs, feel free to come find me. At this moment, Lu Jingtao also spoke up. If you truly have the intention to rebuild the Lin family, just say the word. Both our Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan will help you. Lin Jing looked at the two, nodding, and said, Thank you both, seniors. As soon as Lin Jing's voice fell, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance quickly said, That will do. Let's go inside first. Whatever needs to be said, we should invite our guests in before we talk. Following this, Lin Jing and the others were led into Jinghai Island. After entering Jinghai Island, Lin Jing also met several of Cangyun Yuanshuang's grandfathers and, showing respect as the younger generation, greeted each of them. They also chatted with Lin Jing for a while, and after the conversation, they left with Lu Jingtao and the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, leaving Lu Youjiu and others to stay with Lin Jing's group. Speaking of which, although Lin Jing's cultivation level was much higher than the others, their ages were not much different, and they were also good friends. Compared to Lu Jingtao and Elder Cangyun Yuanshuang, Lin Jing was more willing to stay with Lu Youjiu and the others. Once gathered again, spurred on by Yan Wanfei, they naturally could not avoid a bout of hearty drinking. After the third round of drinks, Lin Jing also took out the congratulatory gifts he had prepared earlier, 2 flawless longevity life extension elixirs. 2 pieces of flawless longevity life extension elixirs indeed left everyone stunned for a good while. You should know, in the past, refining just 1 longevity life extension elixir for the ancestor of the Cangyun clan had caused quite a sensation. Now that Lu Youjiu was getting married, Lin Jing simply brought out 2 flawless longevity life extension elixirs. You must understand that these were longevity life extension elixirs, and moreover, flawless longevity life extension elixirs. Ordinary longevity life extension elixirs, upon consumption, could increase a person's lifespan, but one could only consume one in their lifetime. Once one had been taken, if a second one was consumed, it would have no effect whatsoever. However, the flawless longevity life extension elixirs could break this limitation. No matter how many are consumed, their medicinal effects remain undiminished. This is the terrifying aspect of the flawless longevity life extension elixirs. One flawless longevity life extension elixir could increase lifespan by 2,000 years out of thin air. And these 2,000 years of lifespan, in the eyes of those top cultivators with little lifespan left, were exceedingly precious. Most of these individuals had already consumed longevity life extension elixirs, and ordinary ones could no longer have any effect on them. Only flawless longevity life extension elixirs could enable them to escape the life and death crisis of an impending end of lifespan. Therefore, even if they had to spend all their wealth, they would want to get a flawless longevity life extension elixir. But how could such flawless elixirs be easily obtained? To say nothing of how difficult it is to find the materials for refining longevity life extension elixirs. The chance of a flawless elixir appearing was 1 in 10,000. This had been the case with the Cangyun clan before. With the effort of the entire clan over a long time, countless materials were collected, yet even so, they could not refine a flawless longevity life extension elixir. It caused the whole clan to become disheartened, and the ancestor of the Cangyun clan was already prepared for the worst, ready to meet his end together with Mingyi. In the end, it was Lin Jing who took action and refined the flawless longevity life extension elixir, solving the problem. Such flawless longevity life extension elixirs are so precious that offering just one would be remarkable. But Lin Jing had now actually brought out 2 at once. How could this not shock everyone? Youjiu emerged from his daze, and upon seeing the pure longevity life extension elixir that Lin Jing handed over, did not reach out to take it, but instead spoke up. "Lin brother, this is too precious." Lin Jing then placed the pure longevity life extension elixir directly into Youjiu's hand and spoke. These 2 elixir medicines, being able to concoct them was a matter of luck. Just as I finished making them, your wedding invitation arrived. Such a coincidence must be destiny. Now it's perfect, presenting them to you as a wedding gift. But this, it's really too valuable. A single flawless quality longevity life extension elixir is enough to drive the entire inner sea mad, especially those Mahayana realm old monsters whose own lifespans are not much, but whose power is exceedingly formidable. For them, even more so, today you also met Elder Song, our Shocking Seas Alliance's Supreme Elder. I'm sure you can tell, Elder Song is in the exact situation. His remaining lifespan actually isn't much, and he has been seeking pure longevity life extension elixirs for a long while. Unfortunately, up until now, he still hasn't found one. If you were to give this longevity life extension elixir to Elder Song, as long as the conditions you ask for aren't too excessive, I believe he'd agree without hesitation. To give away such a precious elixir to me, isn't that a pity? Lin Jing looked at Youjiu with a smile and said, "Actually, you could give one of these elixirs to Elder Song and say that this is my wedding gift to you. As for the other, you can keep it for yourself so that no one else will know." Upon hearing Lin Jing's words, Youjiu immediately looked up, his eyes filled with scrutiny as he regarded Lin Jing. "Lin brother, that's not like you. You're usually very cautious. It stands to reason that you wouldn't do this. So is there something else going on?" Lin Jing looked back at Youjiu with a faint smile and said, "Liu brother, if I do this, I surely have my own reasons. You need not decline, just accept it." Hearing Lin Jingji's words, Youjiu looked up towards Lin Jing. Seeing Lin Jingji's serious expression that didn't seem to be joking, Youjiu then nodded and spoke. "All right, in that case, I shall accept Lin brother's kindness." "Thank you, Lin brother. Hearing this, Lin Jing smiled and then said, Lu Brothers' wedding is a grand celebration. This is just a small token of my sentiments. There's no need for thanks. 2 days later, an astonishing piece of news broke out and swiftly spread across the entire demon and spirit inner sea. At Lu Youjiu's grand wedding, the son of Shocking Sea's alliance hierarch Lu Jingtao, someone had presented a pure longevity life extension elixir. The explosive news instantly brought the whole inner sea to a boil. In the following days, virtually all powers within the demon and spirit inner sea, along with those old monsters who have been hidden for ages, all emerged to bring their congratulations and wedding gifts to Jinghai Island. Among these people, some might have had some friction with the Shocking Seas Alliance or the Cangyun clan, not to the point of outright hostility, but definitely not with the intention of coming here. But once the news of the pure longevity life extension elixir broke, regardless of their prior bad relationships, they all shamelessly showed up. Even the normally reclusive Ice God Palace sent representatives to Jinghai Island, bringing wedding gifts for the union of Lu Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang. Their intentions, however, went without saying. In response, both Shocking Seas Alliance hierarch Lu Jingtao and the Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder were all beside themselves with worry. And now, on this day, the Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder went directly to find Lin Jing. As soon as he saw Lin Jing, the Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder immediately said, Lin lad, you sigh. You say you've given away the elixir medicine, but why let this news get out? Such astonishing news, once leaked, is bound to cause an uproar, with no one able to remain unmoved. The Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder appeared to be in urgent need, but Lin Jing was completely calm, smiling at the Supreme Elder. Elder, you must have already consumed that flawless elixir medicine that Youjiu gave, haven't you? How does it feel? The Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder responded, his mouth twitching slightly. No, the elixir medicine is in my hands now, but with so many people coming here this time, I dare not consume it directly. If they found out that I had already taken the elixir, I fear they would tear down my Shocking Seas Alliance. Having said this, the Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder took a deep breath and continued. Fortunately, we suppressed the news before it spread. Now, although the news of the pure longevity life extension elixir has been leaked, your identity has not been revealed. Then, the Shocking Seas Alliance Supreme Elder looked at Lin Jing, sighing. Sigh, you've been too careless. Even if you really wanted to give away a flawless quality longevity life extension elixir, you shouldn't have let this matter slip out. If people knew that it was you who sent the flawless longevity life extension elixir, those people would definitely find you first. At best, they would negotiate nicely with you, asking you to help with alchemy. If you refuse, they would probably turn on you and even abduct you to make you concoct for them. Even if we intervene and suppress them, they will not let it go after leaving. And in any case, this matter will ensure you'll never have a day of peace. Hearing this, Lin Jing, with an apologetic expression, said, Senior, I'm sorry. Because of this matter, it has brought trouble to you all. Actually, my identity doesn't need to be concealed. If they were to ask, Senior, you can directly reveal my identity to them. Upon hearing this, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance was stunned for a moment and then looked at Lin Jing, but his gaze was full of confusion. This matter, from what you're saying, seems like there's another explanation for this matter. Lin Jing nodded and said, Yes, Senior. After speaking, Lin Jing looked towards the Shocking Seas Alliance's Supreme Elder with a serious expression and said earnestly, Actually, I did this deliberately. Did it deliberately? Why would you do that? Lin Jing's words made the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance even more puzzled. Lin Jing began to explain. I wanted to use this incident, using the longevity life extension elixir as bait, to have the top cultivators of the demonic monster sea help me do something. Upon hearing this, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance was also taken aback and promptly asked, What is it? Find ye Mingyi, said Lin Jing. Mingyi is utterly cunning and unmatched in his concealment skills. Originally, to destroy the Lin family, he hid for 10,000 years. Even after the total destruction of my Lin family, he never showed himself. This person is far too dangerous. Now that he is hidden in the shadows, I felt uneasy, so I planned to use the flawless longevity life extension elixir to flush out most of the cultivators in the demonic monster sea and locate Mingyi. While saying this, Lin Jing paused and then continued. Senior, if those people wish to know my identity, feel free to tell them about my status as the heir of the Lin family. And you can also tell them that if anyone can find traces of Mingyi, I will personally assist in refining flawless longevity life extension elixirs for them. Hearing Lin Jing's words, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance frowned slightly, then sighed and said, Lin, young one. After Mingyi went into hiding due to serious injuries, not only the Seven Seas Hall, but also our Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan have been searching for him. You really didn't need to get involved. After hearing this, Lin Jing shook his head and said, This person is the main culprit responsible for the destruction of my Lin family. What I'm doing is merely to give an explanation to the many ancestors of the Lin family. If I don't do something, even if Mingyi is truly punished, I doubt I could rest easy. I hope you can understand, Senior. Hearing what Lin Jing had to say, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance looked at him and then said, I understand your feelings. Although the Lin family had declined due to the matter with the Ascension Pill, it was nowhere near destruction. It was precisely Yi Ming's revenge that led to the complete downfall of the already declining Lin family. Since you seek vengeance for the Lin family, our Shocking Seas Alliance wholeheartedly supports you. Rest assured, I will do as you requested and reveal your identity as the heir of the Lin family. Freebubble.com. And you need not worry. With me here, absolutely no one will harm you. Thank you, Senior. Lin Jing finished speaking and then once again addressed the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance. Senior, actually, I'm unclear about one thing. I can understand why the Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan would pursue Mingyi, but why would the Seven Seas Hall also participate in hunting down Mingyi? And it seems that the Seven Seas Hall hates Mingyi even more deeply than you do. Logically speaking, since Mingyi was a Supreme Elder of the Seven Seas Hall, even though his actions in inciting the inner sea struggle caused losses to the Seven Seas Hall, it shouldn't have gone so far. But after the incident, not only was Mingyi stripped of his position as Supreme Elder, he was expelled from the Seven Seas Hall and pursued by them. Why is this so? After Lin Jing finished speaking, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance then spoke to Lin Jing. You probably aren't aware, are you? This matter is not well known, and for the sake of face, the Seven Seas Hall has also not disclosed it publicly. The main reason is that Mingyi ascended his position illegitimately. Ascended his position illegitimately? Lin Jing looked at the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, waiting for him to continue. The Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance nodded and continued. Mingyi joined the Seven Seas Hall when he was young, and because of his remarkable talent and extraordinary methods, he was favored by the previous Supreme Elder of the Seven Seas Hall and became his disciple. Until the previous Supreme Elder encountered a mishap due to an adversary and perished, Mingyi, who had already reached the Mahayana realm, became the top combat force of the Seven Seas Hall. After that, he helped the Seven Seas Hall through several difficulties and ultimately won everyone's trust, being elected as the new Supreme Elder. Perhaps there are no absolute secrets in the world, or perhaps time was just too long. Mingyi could not wait any longer. After annihilating your Lin family, perhaps in a rush to move against the Cangyun clan, he felt restrained. So, the old Hall Master of the Seven Seas Hall encountered an accident and suddenly died. After the death of the old Hall Master, the new Hall Master had too shallow experience, and his cultivation was somewhat unsatisfactory, failing to command respect. In such a situation, the entire Seven Seas Hall was left with only one leader. That was the Supreme Elder. It was at this time that Mingyi reorganized the Seven Seas Hall and began his offensive against our two forces. Hearing this, Lin Jing instantly understood what had happened. Did Mingyi orchestrate the incident with the old Hall Master of the Seven Seas Hall? The Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance said, "Yes." Even the former Supreme Elder's demise was Mingyi's doing. He wanted to take revenge on your Lin family and the Cangyun clan, so he had to have power in his hands, and thus he took this step. Alas, while leading the forces of the Seven Seas Hall against our Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan, the new Hall Master of the Seven Seas Hall took this opportunity to find evidence of the old Hall Master's sudden death and the former Supreme Elder's fall, and the situation was suddenly reversed. Mingyi also lost everything shortly after the revelations came to light and was severely wounded and fled from our united assault. As for why the Seven Seas Hall now despises Mingyi so much, it is precisely because of this. At this point, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance slightly shook his head and then spoke. Mingyi is a ruthless person. He stops at nothing to achieve his goals. From the beginning, he used the Seven Seas Hall as a tool for his revenge, and everything he did was aimed at taking revenge on your two families. For this, he even did not hesitate to initiate a massive war sweeping through the inner sea, never caring about our lives or the lives of the cultivators of the Seven Seas Hall, as long as he could have his revenge. When the truth came to light, he naturally became the common enemy of everyone. After hearing this, Lin Jing murmured quietly. So that's how it was. After Lin Jing spoke, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance spoke again, asking Lin Jing, "I wonder if you have any more questions, and I can answer them one by one." Lin Jing bowed respectfully and said to the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, "For now, I have none. Thank you for clarifying." The Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance nodded and then spoke. "If so, I will go and handle the matter for you. You just wait." "All right. Thank you, Elder," Lin Jing replied. After this conversation with Lin Jing, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance disclosed Lin Jing's identity. When people heard that there was a descendant of the Lin family still alive, and his alchemy Dao was extraordinary, they were all eager, persistently asking the hierarch of the Shocking Seas Alliance and the Supreme Elder to introduce them to Lin Jing. Lin Jing also timely appeared and met with everyone, and took the opportunity to outline his requests. The requests of Lin Jing were few, totaling 3. The first was that he wanted to perform alchemy, but he must provide his own materials, and he could not guarantee the success rate of alchemy. If it failed, no one was to blame. This was undoubtedly necessary. If one wanted help with alchemy, they naturally had to prepare their materials. As for the success rate, that goes without saying. Alchemy inherently carries a risk of failure, especially with the flawless elixir medicine, where the success rate is miserably low. If not for being a descendant of the Lin family, no one could guarantee the success rate of the flawless elixir medicine, let alone promise to produce it for others. The second was that Lin Jing would perform alchemy only within the territories of the Shocking Seas Alliance and the Cangyun clan to ensure his own safety. With this, no one had any objections. If one could not ensure their own safety, who could peaceably engage in alchemy? And the third, it was permissible to help with alchemy, but he would need to activate all his influence to help him locate Mingyi. Regarding the third point, some people knew well, while others looked perplexed. They didn't understand why this was happening. The grudge between the Lin family and Mingyi, after the conflicts in the Inner Sea, was actually no secret anymore. But even so, there was still a large number of people who spent years in seclusion and simply did not care about these matters. They had no idea what was going on. So, there were those in the know who briefly explained the grudge between the Lin family and Mingyi to those who were clueless. Only after hearing this did these people understand, and they all suddenly displayed expressions of realization. After understanding, everyone expressed great admiration for Lin Jing. After the 3 conditions were proposed, everyone agreed and declared that they would mobilize all their connections to search diligently for Mingyi's whereabouts. Following the meeting with Lin Jing and the others, the entire inner sea and even the far-reaching outer seas were set into motion. Their sole objective was to find Mingyi. Even the bounty initially listed on the Qi Hall's reward board for finding Mingyi had suddenly increased several times over. Even the slightest clue related to Mingyi could be sold at Qi Hall for a handsome price. While the entire demonic monster sea was actively searching for Mingyi, the wedding of Lu Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang officially began. Particularly on the wedding day, the entire Jinghai Island was immersed in a festive atmosphere. As weddings were already joyous occasions that attracted many well-wishers, Lin Jing baited many reclusive powers with the offering of flawless longevity life extension elixirs, making the wedding even more bustling. This had the members of the Shocking Seas Alliance bustling to extremes, especially Lu Youjiu's father, Shocking Seas Alliance hierarch Lu Jingtao, who was so busy he barely touched the ground, experiencing agony mingled with joy. However bustling the days were, they would eventually pass, and life would return to calm. After the successful completion of Lu Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang's wedding, and after the celebrations, everyone departed to search for Mingyi. After the wedding, Lin Jing and his group stayed there for another 2 months. However, after 2 months, they still had not received any news of Mingyi. Mingyi was truly no ordinary man. Even after mobilizing most of the demonic monster sea, they had not found a single trace of him. Lin Jing had even heard that many, unable to find Mingyi in the demonic monster sea, had expanded their search to the 4 continents. They seemed determined not to give up until they found Mingyi. A month later, still without any news of Mingyi, the group finally set off again, heading towards the Eastern Spirit Realm. As for the matter of Mingyi, with the Cangyun clan and the Shocking Seas Alliance watching over it, if there were any news, they would directly inform Lin Jing. Mingyi was indeed no ordinary person. Even though they had gathered most of the forces in the demonic monster sea, they still could not find his whereabouts, nor did they know where he might have hidden. Thus, time swiftly passed. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed, and during this century, Lin Jing spent most of his time in the demonic monster sea, sometimes in the inner sea, sometimes returning to the Thousand Islands domain. As for the Elixir Alliance, Lin Jing only occasionally returned there. However, as time gradually passed, the fervor of searching for Mingyi slowly declined until 10 years ago, when most had given up after continuously failing to find any trace of Mingyi, and the fervor completely died down. Although they had not found Mingyi, but during this period, Lin Jing still assisted, crafting 3 flawless longevity life extension elixirs for the 3 efforts that contributed the most. Had it not been for this, the fervor for searching for Mingyi might have died down 80 years earlier. Lin Jing's assistance in crafting the 3 flawless longevity life extension elixirs allowed this fervor to continue until 10 years ago before it finally dissipated. Although they had not found Mingyi's trace, the 3 powers that received the flawless longevity life extension elixirs did not let Lin Jing suffer any loss, sending him many spirit plants necessary for alchemy. Although these spirit plants were also quite precious, what Lin Jing hoped for more was to find Mingyi's whereabouts. Unfortunately, once Mingyi had hidden himself, he no longer showed any traces, leaving Lin Jing quite helpless. After 100 years, not only Lin Jing's group, but even the 7 Seas Hall had reduced their efforts in searching for Mingyi. Today, Lin Jing was in system space on Yutian Island, examining the system panel. System space, level 9, evolution phase. Remaining time, 725 hours, accumulable, 1,000 hours. Host, Lin Jing. Spirit field range, 135, 100 plus 35 acres. Spiritual energy density, 10. Flow of time speed, 10. Daily entry time, 12 hours max. Harvest points remaining, 1,37255. Required for upgrade. Samsara Holy Fruit, /1. Incomplete, requires Immortal Yuan. Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus, 0 out of 1. Law God Tree, 0 of 1. Alchemy Room, September 9th. Evolution Stage, 0 out of 10. Each stage required evolution points, 1000000. Special functions, alert mode, observation, fixed point teleportation, time accumulation. Lin Jing, 348/12392. Spiritual Root, 5 elements supreme, grade, heavenly spiritual root. Cultivation, Tribulation Peak, 68%. Cultivation Technique, Immortal Tao, 5 elements technique, 5 elements divine art. Ling In Imperial Sword Technique, divine fire triple realm. Suboccupation, 8th grade alchemist, 3256/572/50000000. After a century of continuous cultivation, Lin Jing's cultivation level had reached the peak of tribulation, and he was just a step away from Mahayana. Actually, Lin Jing, who possessed the system space, had spent a significant amount of time cultivating. Due to the enhanced flow of time in the system space, although it was also 100 years for others, Lin Jing had gained hundreds of years of cultivation time out of thin air. His cultivation could have progressed even faster. If Lin Jing had truly wished, he could have elevated his cultivation to the pinnacle of the tribulation stage and passed the heavenly tribulation to advance to the Mahayana realm 2 decades ago. However, Lin Jing had not yet obtained the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus and still needed to make a trip to the Immortal Crossing Island. So he did not continue to improve his cultivation level, but kept it at the pinnacle of the tribulation stage without attempting further breakthroughs. Most of this time, when Lin Jing was not cultivating, he spent most of it performing alchemy. Thus, during this period, Lin Jing had accumulated quite a few harvest points, and not long before, he had upgraded the alchemy room in the system space to the 9th level. Following that, Lin Jing opened the alchemy room panel and checked it again. Alchemy room, 9th level. Divine sense strength increase, 100%. Alchemy success rate increase, 9th rank 10%, 8th rank 20%, 7th rank 30%, 6th rank 40%, 5th rank and below 50%, full. Elixir medicine quality improvement, 9th rank 10%, 8th rank 20%. Chance of producing flawless elixir medicine, 9th rank 10%, 8th rank 20%. Upgrade required. None. Has reached the highest level of the alchemy room, cannot be upgraded further. The 9th level alchemy room had reached the maximum level and could no longer be elevated. Now, apart from collecting the remaining 2 world seeds, breaking through the evolutionary stage in the system space would require gathering the many evolution points. Evolution points needed to be exchanged with harvest points, and Lin Jing wanted to evolve the system space and see the appearance of the system space after its evolution. So he needed to continue collecting harvest points. Alright, he also needed Immortal Yuan to fix the broken world fruits acquired to truly complete the collection task. After reviewing, Lin Jing then closed off the system panel and left the system space. Coming out of the system space, Lin Jing left his usual cultivation room and planned to go to Youjiu City for a stroll. But just then, Lin Jing's divine sense suddenly sensed a familiar aura quickly approaching Youjiu Island. It seemed a familiar person was arriving. Feeling this aura, Lin Jing vanished in an instant and appeared in the skies above Youjiu Island the next moment. When Lin Jing appeared above Youjiu Island, the familiar person had also arrived near him. Seeing this person, Lin Jing couldn't help but be somewhat surprised and asked the person, "Gu Dao, why are you not in Beihai City and instead coming to my Youjiu Island today?" It turned out that this familiar person was Gu Xian, an elder who had always been stationed at Beihai City's Seven Seas Hall. Gu Xian responded to Lin Jing, "Lin Daoyu, I am here today to bid farewell to you. I am leaving." After listening, Lin Jing was initially taken aback, but then spoke again. "Gu Dao, is the Seven Seas Hall going to give up on searching for Mingyi?" Gu Xian nodded his head. Mingyi has hidden too deeply. It has been so long. If it were possible to find him, he should have been found by now. The probability of finding him in the future is also extremely slim. Lin Jing listened and frowned slightly. Gu Xian was right, considering Mingyi's ability to remain hidden for so long without being found. If he did not want to be discovered, probably very few people could find him unless he revealed himself willingly. But he was no fool. If he really appeared willingly, it would certainly be because he was well prepared and felt he could handle the situation, or else he would never expose himself and put himself in danger. Meanwhile, Gu Xian continued to speak. Over the past 100 years, Mingyi, despite being gravely injured initially, might have already recovered. Even if his cultivation has permanently declined and he cannot return to his peak state, he should not be underestimated. Lin Daoyu, you must be very careful. Given your unique identity, he's hiding in the shadows and is likely to come looking for trouble. It would be best, Lin Daoyu, if you returned to the Elixir Alliance or stayed in the Inner Sea. That way, even if Mingyi has recovered from his injuries, he wouldn't dare to appear so freely to harass you. But if you are in the southern outer sea without any support from others, Mingyi might not have as many concerns. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing nodded and said, "Thank you for the warning, Gu Xian. I will heed your advice." Gu Xian nodded, then conversed with Lin Jing for a while longer before saying goodbye and departing. With Gu Xian's departure, the Seven Seas Hall had completely abandoned their search for Mingyi. It was probable that not just Gu Xian, but others from the Seven Seas Hall who were spread across the 3 other outer seas had also withdrawn. After Gu Xian left, Lin Jing stayed where he was, gazing in the direction Gu Xian had gone for a long time without averting his eyes. At this moment, no one else knew what he was thinking. With Gu Xian gone, life continued day by day. Although Gu Xian had issued a warning, Lin Jing did not head to the Inner Sea, but instead remained in the Thousand Islands domain. Soon, half a month had passed since Gu Xian left. That day, Lin Jing suddenly received a message that Lu Youjiu and Cangyun Yuanshuang's first child was about to be born, and they had specifically invited Lin Jing to celebrate. Cultivators, while cultivating, have a reduced ability to reproduce compared to ordinary humans. Many cultivators, even though they may have been Dao companions for hundreds of years, still have no children, a common phenomenon in the cultivation world. Especially the higher the cultivator's level, the weaker their reproductive capability, making it even harder to conceive offspring. The last time Lin Jing had left the Inner Sea was 2 years ago. At that time, the couple was still deeply affectionate and showed no signs of such news. Yet in just 2 years, they unexpectedly shared their joyous news. It was quite a stroke of good luck that they had a child after being together for 100 years. Such a happy occasion was naturally something Lin Jing could not miss. After receiving the news, Lin Jing informed Yu Qinyang, then soared into the sky, leaving the Thousand Islands domain. After leaving the Thousand Islands domain, Lin Jing did not go to Beihai City to take the teleportation array, but instead flew directly towards the north. The teleportation array in Beihai City could only go to the Western Demon region. If he detoured through the Western Outer Sea into the Inner Sea, not only would it take a longer route, but it would also cause much inconvenience. Lin Jing's speed had increased a lot compared to when he first underwent tribulation. With his current speed, it was better to head directly to the Inner Sea without using a teleportation array. Leaving the Thousand Islands domain, Lin Jing flew continuously for several days. In just a few days, he crossed most of the southern outer sea and reached the last sea region bordering the Inner Sea, the Solitude Sea region. This sea region, close to the Inner Sea and connected to the silent deep sea of the Inner Sea, had few islands and was rarely inhabited by cultivators, hence its name. When Lin Jing entered this sea region, he didn't pay it any particular attention. After all, he had passed through here before and was already very familiar with the area. Other than being extremely desolate, this sea region was generally free from danger. However, as Lin Jing was about to pass through the Solitude Sea region, as usual, a sudden abnormal phenomenon occurred. This entire desolate sea region, which had just been calm, suddenly started to shake, creating colossal waves. And accompanying the huge waves were demonic beasts originally lying dormant in the sea, now also stirring up. Even two demonic beasts, taking advantage of the turbulent waves, directly lunged at Lin Jing. Seeing this, Lin Jing waved his hand, and the two sixth-rank demonic beasts immediately burst apart and died instantly. However, after destroying those two demonic beasts, Lin Jing immediately became alert, unfolding his divine sense to scan the surroundings. Yet, in Lin Jing's divine sense, an extremely terrifying cultivator was rapidly flying towards Lin Jing's location. At the same time, an old and eerily penetrating voice also reached Lin Jing's ears at that moment. Descendant of the Lin family. Haha. You've been searching for this old man for so long, wanting to avenge the Lin family? Now, as you wish, this old man has come. The person who had arrived was none other than Mingyi, who had long been hidden from sight. Mingyi moved extremely fast. In just the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Lin Jing. Looking at Mingyi before him, Lin Jing could feel the terrifying aura emanating from him. Without question, he knew Mingyi wouldn't show himself now unless he had come prepared. Seeing Mingyi once again, Lin Jing couldn't help but study him carefully. Compared to the last time, Mingyi seemed even older, his features gaunt as if he were a man who had lived countless years, with his lifespan nearly exhausted and on the verge of passing away. Moreover, from his person, one could also sense an indescribable aura of death. Indeed, it was true. Mingyi, like the Lin family patriarch and the Cangyun clan patriarch, belonged to the same generation. Although the three had age differences, they weren't significant. Previously, the patriarch of the Cangyun clan was at the end of his lifespan. It was only after consuming a flawless longevity life extension elixir that Lin Jing had helped refine did he gain an additional 2,000 years of life and resolve his lifespan crisis. Although Mingyi was a bit younger than the Cangyun clan patriarch, the difference wasn't much. It stood to reason that his lifespan must also be running out by now. However, despite Mingyi's extremely aged appearance, the aura surrounding him was still terrifying. Although not as overwhelming as when Lin Jing first saw him, the difference wasn't too great. Merely judging by this aura, Lin Jing estimated that Mingyi's previous injuries, while not returning him to the peak Mahayana cultivation he had possessed during their first meeting, meant he still possessed at least a middle-stage Mahayana cultivation or higher. Lin Jing stared at Mingyi, who had suddenly appeared, and spoke directly. Mingyi, is all of this you're doing? Although Mingyi had appeared abruptly, Lin Jing seemed to have anticipated it, showing no sign of surprise. Faced with such a reaction from Lin Jing, a trace of confusion appeared on Mingyi's face. Seeing me appear, you're not the least bit surprised? Could it be you already knew I would come looking for you? Lin Jing looked towards Mingyi and said outright, Of course, I certainly knew you would show up. Otherwise, why would I have gone to such lengths 100 years ago to seek you out? The purpose was to make you come to me of your own accord. Seeing Lin Jing's confidence and hearing him openly speak the reason for seeking him out 100 years ago, Mingyi became even more puzzled and stared at Lin Jing. If you knew I was going to seek you out, why would you still dare to come here alone? Are you overconfident in yourself, or do you underestimate me? Lin Jing shook his head and said, Not at all. It's precisely because I respect you that I am behaving this way. I know that if you wanted to hide, no one could find you, not even with the entire power of the demonic monster sea, unless you chose to reveal yourself willingly. Otherwise, it would be impossible to locate you. Now it seems my conjecture was indeed correct. Mingyi furrowed his brows and then spoke. Knowing this, you still dare to act alone. This really makes me unable to see through you. Before this operation, I had already mastered the movements of all the Cangyun clan and Shocking Seas Alliance members. Now, there's no one to protect you, just you on your own. I really don't understand. What confidence do you have that you dare to face me alone? Could it be true folly, or do you have some kind of trump card? Saying this, Mingyi scrutinized Lin Jing with a probing gaze. Lin Jing just smiled slightly and said, "Why don't you take a guess? What kind of trump card do I have that makes me so fearless?" After Lin Jing finished speaking, Mingyi's brows furrowed even more. Then, with a glint in his eyes, he carefully observed Lin Jing as if trying to see through him. After scrutinizing for a moment, Mingyi didn't seem to discover anything. Instead, he let out a cold snort and said directly, "HMPF, even if you truly have a trump card, what of it? In the face of absolute cultivation suppression, any trump card becomes a joke. Without reaching Mahayana, you will never be my match." As he said this, Mingyi was supremely confident. Indeed, between each major cultivation realm, there lay a vast chasm, difficult to cross, but once someone successfully advanced, the resulting increase in strength was significant. Especially at higher realms, the increase in strength brought by a breakthrough was even more substantial. Lin Jing was currently at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, facing Mingyi, who was likely at the middle or even later stages of Mahayana. He was simply no match for him. If the two were to battle, Mingyi would only need to make a move, and within half an hour, Lin Jing would likely perish on the spot. It was exactly because the gap in cultivation between Lin Jing and him was so great that Mingyi dared to show himself and appear before Lin Jing. What Mingyi said was absolutely correct and indeed the truth, yet Lin Jing's expression remained unchanged, showing no trace of fear. Lin Jing looked directly at Mingyi and said, "I know why you've shown up today, and I also know that you will not kill me. At least not in the short term." Hearing what Lin Jing said, Mingyi was momentarily stunned and then suddenly burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha! Is this confidence of yours? You are indeed clever, knowing that I would come for you and why. But are you so sure I won't kill you?" Lin Jing looked at Mingyi without a hint of hesitation and spoke directly. "Of course. The reason you came looking for me is to have me refine the flawless longevity life extension elixir to extend your own life. Before the flawless longevity life extension elixir is produced, you will definitely not let me die." Hearing what Lin Jing said, Mingyi looked towards him, a smile curling on his lips, yet paired with his withered appearance. It seemed particularly unsettling. "Immortal, I don't know why you are so confident, nor do I understand where your confidence comes from." Having said this, Mingyi took out a glazed jade mirror immediately, but the mirror was flawed with intertwining cracks, looking as if it could shatter at any moment. Upon retrieving the mirror, Mingyi didn't hesitate at all. He directly drove his spiritual power into it. As the spiritual power entered the mirror, a 9-colored light screen erupted from its surface, shooting towards the sky. After the appearance of the 9-colored light screen, it quickly spread out, and in an instant, it had enveloped both Mingyi and Lin Jing. Such speed left Lin Jing completely unable to react. While Lin Jing had only stepped back slightly when Mingyi took out the glazed jade mirror, the next moment, the light screen had already engulfed him. Before being enveloped by the 9-colored light, Lin Jing had stepped back, but after being engulfed by the light screen, he stood still instead. And then, Lin Jing made no resistance at all and just stood there, letting the light screen envelop him. After the light screen had entirely enveloped both of them, it didn't linger, and the next moment, the entire heaven and earth spun. Lin Jing's vision was completely obscured by the 9-colored light, and even her divine sense was suppressed within her body, unable to probe outward. However, this situation didn't last long. After her divine sense was suppressed, the next moment, Lin Jing felt a certain indescribable change around her body and space. It seemed as though she had suddenly left the sea of silence and was teleported to another place. As the change passed, Lin Jing's divine sense also recovered, and she could probe outside her body once more. However, just as Lin Jing's divine sense recovered, she sensed danger approaching her and swiftly retreated. As she retreated, the 9-colored light in front of her quickly dissipated. Following this, Lin Jing could finally see everything in front of her clearly. In front of him was a 9-colored light screen, and the reason Lin Jing's vision had been obstructed by the 9-colored light just now was precisely because he had been inside that light screen. He had just exited from the 9-colored light screen. Until he had moved out of the light screen's range, Lin Jing saw clearly that he was still over sea. But unlike before, this sea was incredibly calm, totally different from before. However, above the sea's surface, there was a gigantic tail, large enough to cover the sun, slapping towards him. This enormous tail also carried an extremely terrifying aura, far surpassing Lin Jing himself. And just sensing this aura, Lin Jing knew that he absolutely could not withstand a single strike from this tail. Therefore, Lin Jing instantly dodged, escaping the area covered by the tail. Boom! The tail fell, striking the sea, creating a massive wave. Fortunately, Lin Jing had moved far enough away that this wave didn't reach him. After dodging the tail attack and the subsequent wave, Lin Jing finally saw the colossal creature in the sea clearly. It was a giant demonic beast resembling a whale, over 10,000 zhong in size. It was indeed the whale's tail that had swiped at Lin Jing just now. This giant whale, after delivering one strike, did not rest and quickly lifted its enormous tail again. But this time, the target of the demonic beast's attack wasn't Lin Jing, but rather it raised its tail to strike at the 9-colored light screen. However, this time when the tail struck, a massive surge of spiritual power erupted within the light screen. This huge surge of spiritual power stirred up the nearby sea into massive waves. After the surge of spiritual power erupted, a black spear formed from spiritual power pierced through the light screen and flew out. The black gleam of the long halberd shot forth, blood-red light soaring into the sky along with a vast amount of blood blossoms scattering into the sea. Then, the giant whale suddenly flipped over, hastily diving into the deep sea until its tail appeared. Lin Jing saw that on its tail was a massive gash. At that moment, fresh blood was still flowing from the gash, but the giant whale, no longer concerned with anything else, fled directly into the sea. After the giant whale had fled, a figure slowly emerged from the rainbow-colored light screen. The person who appeared was none other than Mingyi. Upon appearing, Mingyi looked at Lin Jing, his expression calm. "Since I brought you here, there's no point in hiding anything anymore. Let's just speak forthrightly. I've been preparing for this for a long time. Ever since 100 years ago, when you produced the flawless longevity life extension elixir, I've been watching you. However, at that time I was severely injured and dared not show my face, but it was in fact a good opportunity to act in secret and probe your past. I must say, you're quite careful. Despite all my efforts to investigate, I could uncover barely anything about your past. That shows you're no fool. 100 years ago, when you sought me out without hesitating to expose your identity, though it seemed rational, it was very irrational compared to your usual cautious self. You, being so cautious, must certainly understand the consequences of exposing your identity. You would have known I'd come looking for you. Yet under such circumstances, you persisted in doing as you pleased, not taking me into account at all, almost as if you were intentionally drawing me out. Plus, when you saw me, you were not at all afraid, and even admitted that what you had done 100 years ago was to draw me out. From this, it's clear you must have a life-saving ace up your sleeve. Besides that, I also discovered that you obtained a small portion of the Ascension Pill, so your cultivation has progressed terrifyingly. Even though you've hidden your cultivation at the early stages of tribulation, if I'm not wrong, your current cultivation has at least reached the later stages of tribulation, or even possibly the peak of tribulation. I'm well aware of all this. But even if you possess the peak cultivation of tribulation, it's still not enough. Mingyi looked at Lin Jing, a trace of mockery on his lips, and then said, "As I mentioned before, even if you do have an ace, what of it? Whether it's the Lin family, the Cangyun clan, or the Shocking Seas Alliance, I know them well. Even if you obtained some sort of lifeline from them, it would only be those items from the ancient era with immense killing power or items with a strong ability to protect life, like forbidden artifacts and special talismans. The difference in our cultivation is huge, and even with those forbidden artifacts, you can't match me. And I also know that the Cangyun clan once had a 9th grade top-level talisman from the ancient era, which can open a transmission channel and transport a designated person thousands of miles to one side. You're not afraid of me because you must be carrying that talisman, right? You want to use yourself as bait along with the Cangyun clan to deal with me? I'm telling you, here, unless that talisman is a true immortal talisman, it won't work at all. And not just that talisman, but even those special talismans that can traverse spaces will lose their effect. Once you enter here, you won't be able to escape. Lin Jing hurriedly looked around. Other than the rainbow-colored light screen in front, all other directions were boundless seas. Only far behind them was an island floating on the sea. Seeing this, Mingyi sneered and then said directly, "Stop looking. This is Immortal Crossing Island." Immortal Crossing Island. You must have heard of it. No one who enters here can ever leave. Lin Jing heard the words, ignored Mingyi, and immediately turned around, flying towards the small island behind him. Seeing Lin Jing flying away, Mingyi was in no hurry and followed Lin Jing with a leisurely pace, as if toying with prey. Not until he got close did Lin Jing finally make out the scene on the island. The beach, the dense woods, and that familiar stone steel. Immortal Crossing Island. Road to becoming an immortal. Once one enters the Immortal Crossing, there's no return. The inscriptions on the steel had remained unchanged, just as before. Seeing this, a look of joy instantly appeared on Lin Jing's face, and then he turned around to look at Mingyi, who was following behind him, and said, "Indeed, I was not wrong. You were actually able to enter Immortal Crossing Island before it appeared." Hearing Lin Jing's words, Mingyi sensed something ominous and couldn't help but frown. Then, he looked at Lin Jing in front of him and directly asked, "What do you mean by that? Why would you know that I could enter Immortal Crossing Island ahead of time?" Faced with Mingyi's question, Lin Jing did not hide anything and directly replied, "While you were investigating me over the years, did you think I did not investigate you? Otherwise, why would I spend most of my time in the demonic monster sea during these 100 years, if not to uncover more about your deeds? Let me tell you, long before this, when I was looking into the incidents prior to the disappearance of Lin Failing the Elder, I found that the time of his disappearance didn't match. When Lin Failing the Elder disappeared, the downfall of the Lin family, no one knew where he went, and to this day, very few people are aware of it. Others may not know, but I know that his disappearance was due to someone deceiving him to come to Immortal Crossing Island. And once someone enters the island, it's almost impossible to leave, let alone send messages out. That's why his disappearance has become an enigma. Decades ago, when I entered the Lin family's secret grounds, I happened upon some records about Lin Failing the Elder's unusual tales and discovered that the time of his disappearance did not match up with the emergence of Immortal Crossing Island. When Lin Failing the Elder disappeared, Immortal Crossing Island had not yet appeared in the world. It was after Lin Failing the Elder's disappearance that Immortal Crossing Island appeared, and I happen to know that his disappearance has something to do with you. So I boldly guessed that you could enter Immortal Crossing Island before it opened. Now it seems, my guess was indeed correct. After hearing Lin Jing's words, Mingyi looked at Lin Jing with a dangerous glint in his eyes, and his face turned grim. "I want to know, Lin Failing's disappearance, unknown to all. How did you come to know that he vanished on Immortal Crossing Island?" Lin Jing then smiled and said, "You have investigated me, but there's something you probably don't know. Actually, I've been to Immortal Crossing Island long ago. Besides a few close companions, I haven't told anyone else about my visit to Immortal Crossing Island. Moreover, about me taking the Ascension pill, originally not many people knew of it, but I deliberately did not conceal that part. After all, compared to other things, advancement in cultivation could not be hidden from you no matter what, so I might as well make the matter of the Ascension pill public. You've actually been to Immortal Crossing Island? Impossible. No one can leave once they enter Immortal Crossing Island. How did you get out?" After hearing what Lin Jing had to say, Mingyi's face became uglier, but it seemed he still found it hard to believe that Lin Jing had been to Immortal Crossing Island. Lin Jing looked at Mingyi in front of him, with a sharp light flashing in his eyes, and then said, "If I'm not mistaken, this is probably your first time personally entering Immortal Crossing Island, right?" After saying these words, Lin Jing continued to observe Mingyi to see how he would react. However, Mingyi remained silent to this, making no reaction at all. Lin Jing didn't pay Mingyi any more attention, but continued to speak. "Earlier in the outside world, the glazed jade mirror you produced, though it can bring people to Immortal Crossing Island, I guess it can't be used at any time. The giant tremor in the sea outside just now should have been the sign of Immortal Crossing Island emerging. And your glazed jade mirror, I suppose, could only be used when Immortal Crossing Island is about to appear. And perhaps it's even possible for you to leave through this mirror at any time, otherwise you definitely wouldn't dare to come in with me. Am I mistaken or not?" After Lin Jing finished speaking, Mingyi was no longer silent and simply nodded. "Your guess is indeed not incorrect. The treasure in my hand is called the Passing Immortal Jade Mirror. Although the Passing Immortal Jade Mirror can allow one to enter Immortal Crossing Island ahead of time, it can only be used before the island emerges. It's also true that one can leave Immortal Crossing Island with this treasure, but likewise only when the path to immortality surfaces. If the time of Immortal Crossing Island's emergence passes and it conceals itself again, even with the Passing Immortal Jade Mirror, it's impossible to leave. Additionally, Immortal Crossing Island appears once every 10,000 years, and during this period, the Passing Immortal Jade Mirror can also be used only once. 10,000 years ago, I used a good friend of Lin Failing's and opened the passageway before Immortal Crossing Island appeared, letting the two of them enter. Yet I myself did not go in." Upon saying this, Mingyi looked at Lin Jing and asked, "You say you've been to this Immortal Crossing Island. I'm curious, during the times when Immortal Crossing Island was hidden, how did you get to it? There's also the question, since you have entered Immortal Crossing Island, how did you leave?" Facing Mingyi's query, Lin Jing didn't hide anything and directly spoke up. "The reason I could enter Immortal Crossing Island was purely accidental due to an unexpected event during teleportation. I accidentally fell here. As for leaving, Immortal Crossing Island originally has an exit that leads to the outside world, but the conditions to leave are extremely strict. I just happened to fulfill those conditions to leave, and that's why I left Immortal Crossing Island. The reason others couldn't leave is that they did not fulfill the conditions for leaving Immortal Crossing Island." With Lin Jing's explanation, Mingyi immediately came to understand. "So that's how it is. If you put it that way, then I understand." Having said that, Mingyi looked at Lin Jing and continued, "I suppose after you came in, you encountered Lin Failing, or rather his remains, and you obtained something important from him that belongs to the Lin family, which is why you said I've never entered Immortal Crossing Island." Lin Jing remained silent, which counted as tacit agreement. Next, Mingyi looked at Lin Jing and then spoke again. "There's one last thing. You have been scheming since 100 years ago until you entered Immortal Crossing Island, where you finally revealed yourself. With all this calculation, it seems you intended for me to bring you to Immortal Crossing Island. Could it be that there's something here that you absolutely have to obtain?" Having finished speaking, Mingyi narrowed his eyes and gazed at Lin Jing. Lin Jing looked at Mingyi and said bluntly, "There's nothing I can tell you." Upon hearing this, Mingyi's expression turned stern. "Since you've been to Immortal Crossing Island before, I won't beat around the bush with you. You are of great use to me now, so I won't kill you, but I will ensure you won't pose a threat to me. Controlling you to serve my purposes is more beneficial than killing you." Having said this, Mingyi's aura suddenly surged, and a huge black shadow appeared behind him. Then, Mingyi reached out his hand towards Lin Jing. The huge shadow behind him also extended its hand towards Lin Jing, and at the same time, countless streams of black mana converged into several black dragons, coiling towards Lin Jing. And then, something unbelievable happened to Mingyi. Just as the black dragons were about to entwine Lin Jing, he disappeared. Lin Jing's disappearance was sudden and silent. This abnormal phenomenon made Mingyi become more cautious. However, in the next moment, Lin Jing suddenly reappeared. Lin Jing suddenly reemerged just as silently, and before this, Mingyi hadn't sensed it at all. Moreover, the spot where Lin Jing reappeared wasn't far from Mingyi, but actually quite close, within 100 paces. This unusual move by Lin Jing also startled Mingyi. Although Lin Jing only had the cultivation of the Transcendent tribulation stage, this action made Mingyi immediately wary of Lin Jing. Mingyi speculated that Lin Jing must be about to use that trump card in his hand. Thus, at the moment Lin Jing appeared, Mingyi had already brought forth a defensive Taoist treasure to protect himself. At the same time, he swiftly retreated, guarding against Lin Jing's surprise attack. However, what Mingyi did not expect was that Lin Jing, at that moment, brought out a black and white fruit and rushed towards him. This move by Lin Jing caught Mingyi off guard for a moment. A fruit? At such a critical moment, he actually threw a fruit at me. Just as Mingyi had no time to ponder further, in the next moment, he felt the vitality in his body, which was already sparse, rapidly leaving his body, absorbed by the black and white fruit. This terrifying sensation made Mingyi's soul tremble. It was then that Mingyi remembered what the fruit before him was. Samsara fruit. Mingyi, now filled with fear, exclaimed in alarm. The rumored samsara fruit of the Naming domain has disappeared, and it's actually in your hands. Why? Does this samsara fruit belong to... The vitality-absorbing power of the samsara fruit was indeed too horrific. In just a short while, Mingyi's presence grew weaker and weaker. His already scarce vitality was completely devoured by the samsara, holy fruit, in the brief period of those few sentences. The next moment, Mingyi's presence vanished completely, and he fell from the sky. Seeing that Mingyi had been utterly devoured of his vitality by the samsara holy fruit and had died, Lin Jing didn't dare linger and promptly re-entered the system space. After entering the space, Lin Jing quickly summoned the system and sent the samsara holy fruit from the outside world back into the system space. Only when the samsara fruit reappeared in the system space's 9-heaven samsara plane did Lin Jing leave the system space and reappear outside. What Mingyi said was correct. Lin Jing indeed had an ace up his sleeve, and that ace was the samsara holy fruit. Actually, even before initiating the first plan, Lin Jing had already analyzed various possibilities. He had even anticipated that Mingyi might set up an ambush for him. Therefore, before the plan was implemented, Lin Jing had already been thinking about what could bait Mingyi and ensure his successful execution. In the end, after much contemplation, Lin Jing thought of Mingyi, who belonged to the same era as the old ancestors of the Lin family and the Cangyun clan, and that his lifespan was not plentiful. Once that occurred to him, the idea of the samsara holy fruit instantly came to Lin Jing's mind. Then, Lin Jing conducted an experiment and found, through his trials, that he could take out the samsara holy fruit from the system space. And after taking it out, the samsara holy fruit, still being incomplete, retained its dreadful vitality-absorbing power. Having confirmed that the samsara holy fruit could be taken out, Lin Jing's subsequent plan could commence. Just now, in the brief moment that he took out the samsara holy fruit, Lin Jing felt a significant amount of his own vitality being devoured. At least 1,000 years of his lifespan was lost. If Lin Jing himself had lost so much lifespan, then even more so for Mingyi. With the remaining lifespan he had, he could not withstand the devouring of the samsara holy fruit. Thus, before he could finish speaking, his vitality was wholly consumed, leading to his complete downfall. After coming out of the system space, Lin Jing looked directly down below. Mingyi had died, but his body had fallen onto the sand beneath. Lin Jing then extended his divine sense downwards towards Yi Mingyi's corpse. However, no sooner had his divine sense touched upon it than Lin Jing found that indeed there was no life remaining, and he was as dead as one could be. After the exploration, assuring himself of Yi Mingyi's death, Lin Jing could finally ease his heart. Then, Lin Jing approached the body of Yi Mingyi, motioned with his hand, and collected Yi Mingyi's space ring and the Taoist treasure that had protected him just before. After collecting these items, Lin Jing activated the divine fire triple realm, conjured a colorless flame, and threw it onto Yi Mingyi's body. Even though Yi Mingyi had been powerful in life, now that he was deceased, only his corpse remained, which couldn't withstand the incineration of the colorless flame. Soon, Yi Mingyi's body was burnt to nothing. Having dealt with Yi Mingyi, Lin Jing then turned his head, looking towards the dense forest ahead. Although the Samsara holy fruit had been taken out for only a short time, it still had a considerable impact on Immortal Crossing Island. The most evident of which was the dense forest near the shoreline of Immortal Crossing Island, which had all become withered. In just that short span of time, the vitality of those trees and plants had been drained, and the demonic beasts that lived in the dense forest had likewise perished greatly. Such was the horror of the Samsara holy fruit. If not necessary, Lin Jing really didn't want to use the Samsara fruit. But he was facing Yi Mingyi this time, and if he didn't use the Samsara holy fruit, it would not be easy to deal with him. After all, Yi Mingyi was exceedingly patient and would not show himself if there was even the slightest hint of danger. Fortunately, with the dwindling lifespan that Yi Mingyi had left, the extraction time of the Samsara holy fruit was short. Although it caused some destruction, it wasn't too severe. Even within the interior of Immortal Crossing Island, places far from the Samsara fruit remained lush and green, not much affected. After observing for a moment and confirming that he had not caused irreparable damage to Immortal Crossing Island, Lin Jing then withdrew his gaze. Following that, he immediately summoned the system and re-entered the system space. Upon entering the system space, Lin Jing took out Yi Mingyi's space ring and the Taoist treasure he had previously used for defense. After taking them out, Lin Jing picked up the defensive Taoist treasure and began to examine it. It was a tortoise shell-shaped Taoist treasure, only palm-sized. When used, one only needed to inject spiritual power into it, and a layer of tortoise shell-shaped spiritual shield would unfold, enveloping the user for protection. Yi Mingyi had been using this treasure to defend himself against Lin Jing's attacks. Unfortunately, though the treasure could block attacks, it was capable of withstanding the life-devouring power of the Samsara holy fruit. Even protected by the treasure, Yi Mingyi was still devoured clean of his vitality by the Samsara holy fruit, leading to his complete fall. There's nothing particularly special about this Taoist treasure, and after inspecting it, Lin Jing simply put it away, paying it no further mind. Next was Yi Mingyi's space ring. Lin Jing then extended his divine sense towards the space ring. But just as his divine sense probed, it encountered a backlash from the prohibitions left on the space ring by Yi Mingyi. The backlash was extremely strong, and with it, a vast surge of demonic qi also made its presence known. Seeing this development, Lin Jing immediately retreated. After the surge of demonic qi emerged, it swiftly transformed into the visage of an old face rising amidst the demonic vapors. The old demon cultivator's face appeared, scanning the area before bursting into loud laughter. Ha ha ha! Damn Xianxing realm cultivators, you sealed me away for so long, and finally, I'm free. When I get out, I will definitely lead the cultivators of the demonic path of our Cangyun realm and Youjiu to annihilate every single one of the Xianxing realm cultivators. Hearing the demon cultivator's words, Lin Jing couldn't help but be surprised. I didn't expect this demon cultivator to not be from the Xianxing realm, but rather a cultivator from the Cangyun realm. The Xianxing realm is where Lin Jing currently resides in the cultivation world, and the Cangyun realm is another cultivation world that is roughly equivalent to the Xianxing realm. The two cultivation worlds are located differently, but are both accessible to the outer spatial void, where they may encounter each other. Apart from the Xianxing and Cangyun realms, there's also the Jilin realm. These three cultivation worlds seem to belong to the same spatial area and can meet in the outer spatial void. Although entering the Transcendent tribulation stage allows access to the outer spatial void, if not necessary, no cultivator of that stage would venture there. The outer spatial void is extremely dangerous. Even Mahayana realm cultivators could fall if they are not careful. What's more, apart from Xianxing realm cultivators, those from the Cangyun realm and Jilin realm also lurk within, and if you encounter a native cultivator, you might still remain unharmed. But if one meets cultivators from the other two realms, it's quite a different story. Cultivators from the three realms are sometimes hostile to each other in the outer spatial void, but not absolutely. If it benefits themselves, they may choose to cooperate. However, generally speaking, encountering cultivators from the other two realms is far more dangerous. For a genius cultivator like Lin Jing, who reached the Transcendent tribulation stage at a young age, if he encounters cultivators from other realms in the outer spatial void, even if he does nothing, it's very likely he would be targeted for assassination by cultivators from the other two realms. After all, eliminating a genius from another realm's cultivation world would be advantageous in the resource struggles within the outer spatial void. Fortunately, aside from native cultivators, it is exceedingly difficult for others to enter another cultivation world. Even if they manage to force entry, the suppressive force of the heavenly Tao would reduce their cultivation. If not for this, the three major cultivation worlds might have long been at war, leading to widespread havoc and destruction. Lin Jing knew about all this because he had read about it in the Elixir Alliance's scripture pavilion. Moreover, aside from Lin Jing, there are very few below the Mahayana realm who are aware of this information, as those who enter the outer spatial void are mostly Mahayana realm cultivators. So, the information regarding the outer spatial void and the other two worlds is not really accessible to cultivators of Lin Jing's cultivation. Only Mahayana cultivators are allowed to peruse it. The reason Lin Jing could access it was thanks to his status as an elder of the Elixir Alliance, which allowed him to check in advance. Inside the system space, the voice of the demon cultivator from the Cangyun realm had barely faded when a system warning was issued. Warning! A special spiritual body has entered the system space. Proceed with elimination immediately. The sound of the system warning immediately alerted the demon cultivator. Who's there? Who's speaking? While speaking, the demon cultivator looked towards Lin Jing. Is it you? Do you want to kill me? But just as his words fell, he felt an extremely terrifying danger about to befall him. Yet the young man, standing not far in front of him, made no moves, nor did he show any sign of energy. Clearly, it wasn't the young man who was causing the dangerous sensation. While the demon cultivator was preparing to seek out the source of danger, that inexplicable and terrifying crisis suddenly befell him without warning. What is this? Oh no! With a resentful howl, the newly appeared demon cultivator from the Cangyun realm instantly perished, disappearing without a trace. Lin Jing had decided to inspect Mingyi's Taoist treasure and his space ring in the system space in order to be prepared for such occurrences. Indeed, an unexpected event had occurred. Lin Jing had thought that under the devouring of the samsara holy fruit, Mingyi would find a way to leave his body and hide his soul spirit. Yet, what emerged from the space ring was not his soul spirit, but a lingering soul self-proclaiming to be a demon cultivator from the Cangyun realm. Thus, it seemed that Mingyi had truly perished, with no possibility of any remnant soul surviving. After all, no matter how cunning and full of schemes Mingyi was, he would never have anticipated that Lin Jing would obtain the samsara holy fruit, and naturally, he hadn't prepared for it. Therefore, when Lin Jing took out the samsara holy fruit, the unprepared Mingyi was destined to fall. Not until the spiritual body of the Cangyun realm demon cultivator had completely dissipated did Lin Jing pick up the space ring again and extend his divine sense into it once more. on this attempt, perhaps because of the influence of the Cangyun realm demon cultivator. The backlash of the prohibition was still present, but much weakened compared to before, even to the extent that it could not pose any threat to Lin Jing. Then, Lin Jing mobilized his divine sense and began to forcefully decrypt the space ring. After several days of continuous decryption, Lin Jing had finally completely broken the prohibition on the space ring, allowing his divine sense to probe inside. As soon as he entered the space ring, Lin Jing was immediately dazzled and captivated by what he saw. True to being a former Supreme Elder of the Seven Seas Hall, Mingyi's space ring contained many treasures. Firstly, about the spirit stones, there's no need to go into detail. Lin Jing glanced and saw a mountainous pile of spirit stones, all gathered there. These spirit stones were all superior, with not a single medium-grade or low-grade stone. Besides the pile of spirit stones, next to it, there was another pile of even more brilliant supreme-grade spiritual power, also heaped up there. At a glance, Lin Jing saw that there were, at the very least, hundreds of thousands of these supreme-grade spirit stones. This count was something Lin Jing had not even dared imagine before. Apart from the spirit stones, in another corner of the space ring, there were over a dozen Taoist treasures lying there. Among these Taoist treasures, Lin Jing also spotted the Transcendent celestial mirror used for teleportation to Immortal Crossing Island. When Mingyi had taken out the Transcendent celestial mirror, it had already acquired several cracks, and now, the cracks appeared more numerous than when Mingyi first revealed it. From the looks of it, even though the Transcendent celestial mirror could still access Immortal Crossing Island, its uses were likely limited. Apart from the Transcendent celestial mirror, the other dozen Taoist treasures here were also extraordinary. These Taoist treasures varied in type, including both offensive and defensive ones, and even a pill furnace was among them. Moreover, these Taoist treasures were not of low rank, at least all above medium grade. However, Lin Jing's main target was not these Taoist treasures, but the innate Tao treasure, the Disaster Heavenly Book, which had once belonged to Mingyi. After a brief inspection, Lin Jing passed over these Taoist treasures and continued his search. Eventually, after some searching, Lin Jing found a wooden box in another corner of the space ring that could isolate divine sense. Lin Jing then directly took this wooden box out from inside the space ring. Upon retrieving the wooden box, Lin Jing proceeded to open it. Opening the wooden box, the Disaster Heavenly Book lay inside. However, the Disaster Heavenly Book was already damaged, with cracks sprawling all over it, and one part of it had completely split open. The Disaster Heavenly Book was damaged. Lin Jing had heard about the damage to the Disaster Heavenly Book long ago. It happened during a fierce battle between the ancestor of the Cangyun clan, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, both wielding innate Tao treasures, and Mingyi. Had the Disaster Heavenly Book not been damaged, Lin Jing would never dare reveal himself under Mingyi's watchful eyes. Moreover, not just Lin Jing, but the ancestor of the Cangyun clan, the Supreme Elder of the Shocking Seas Alliance, and even other members of the Seven Seas Hall, did not wish for the existence of such a potent weapon as the Disaster Heavenly Book. Destroying the Disaster Heavenly Book was inevitable. Lin Jing sought the Disaster Heavenly Book because it was an innate Tao treasure distinct from other treasures. If the Disaster Heavenly Book could be restored, it could also be a great weapon threatening people. However, to use the Disaster Heavenly Book, a sacrifice was needed to unleash its maximum power, and Lin Jing did not favor such an evil innate Tao treasure. Even if it could be restored, Lin Jing needed to consider carefully. The reason he wanted to find it was, whether to repair it or not, such evil weapons of mass destruction were safest when kept in one's own hands. Having confirmed the existence of the Disaster Heavenly Book, Lin Jing then returned it to the wooden box. After that, Lin Jing also placed the wooden box back inside Mingyi's space ring. While putting back the wooden box, Lin Jing noticed a token next to it. This token was neither gold nor jade, and it emanated a rising demonic qi, clearly forged from no ordinary material. Moreover, it was engraved with the characters Youjiu. Upon seeing the Youjiu on the token, Lin Jing immediately understood that this token must belong to a demon cultivator of the Cangyun realm. He had previously stated that he planned to lead the Youjiu demonic path of the Cangyun realm to exterminate the cultivators of the Xianqing realm. But right after he finished speaking, he was eradicated by the system space, and his grand dream of annihilating the Xianqing realm cultivators naturally burst as well. After that, Lin Jing scanned inside Mingyi's space ring once more and, seeing nothing else of interest, withdrew his divine sense from the space ring. After checking the items inside Mingyi's space ring, Lin Jing then left the system space. Coming out of the system space, Lin Jing reappeared on the beach where he was before. Next, he turned his head, looking in the direction of the desert of Immortal Crossing Island. When Lin Jing had last left Immortal Crossing Island, he was at the trial grounds in the desert. Additionally, there, he had encountered the skeletal remains of Elder Failing and obtained the latter half of the Lin family's alchemy Dao. However, when he had left last time, Lin Jing had not taken Elder Failing skeletal remains with him, but had left them on Immortal Crossing Island. Now, having located the Lin family's position, although Ganlin Island no longer existed, the Lin family's secret grounds were still there. It was time to bring Elder Failing's skeletal remains back for a proper burial. He could not let his remains stay here indefinitely. Thinking this, Lin Jing soared into the air, flying toward the direction of the desert. On his previous visit to Immortal Crossing Island, Lin Jing was merely at the Foundation Establishment stage, but this time he had reached the Transcendent Tribulation stage. Compared to last time, his cultivation had immensely increased, naturally making him much faster than before. From the seaside beach to the desert oasis, it took Lin Jing less than 4 hours. Upon reaching the oasis, Lin Jing entered the water, fished out the skeletal remains of Elder Failing, and paid his respects. Then, he gathered up Elder Failing's skeletal remains. As for the other skeleton, which had caused Elder Failing's fall here, Lin Jing did not bother with it and let it stay there. Despite how powerful this skeleton had been in life, under the erosion of time, it would probably only last a few tens of thousands of years at most before completely decomposing, melding into the sands and silt of the oasis. Having taken Elder Failing skeleton, Lin Jing was about to leave when suddenly a disturbance occurred. An entrance, reflecting a world of swirling sands, appeared above the oasis. It turned out to be the entrance to the trial grounds, suddenly appearing at that moment. Lin Jing looked up at the sky, where a full moon hung. Lin Jing then realized that tonight was the night of the full moon, and the entrance to the trial grounds typically opened on such nights. Glancing at the entrance to the trial grounds, Lin Jing could not help but shake his head. The timing of the appearance of the entrance to the trial grounds was indeed curious. He had just arrived, and it had appeared almost as if Immortal Crossing Island did not welcome him and wanted him to leave. However, Lin Jing was not in a rush to go out this time. He still had an important task to complete. He had yet to acquire the transcendent, celestial golden lotus. It would not be too late to leave after getting the transcendent, celestial golden lotus. Afterward, Lin Jing turned around and left the place. Once he left the desert region, Lin Jing returned to the beach where he had previously seen the Immortal Crossing Island stele. Then, setting out from there, Lin Jing flew toward the interior of Immortal Crossing Island. Due to the use of the Samsara holy fruit just now, the outermost layer of the dense forest had turned completely yellow, and the entire forest was devoid of demonic beasts, making the surroundings eerily quiet. It was not until he climbed over the mountain at the outer edge of the forest that the yellow color gradually faded, returning to a lush green. After walking some more and climbing over a few more mountains, the sounds of insects and birds in the forest began to emerge, and the entire forest regained its former vitality, no longer feeling lifeless. Lin Jing continued inward. Before long, Lin Jing arrived at the place where he first met Xiao Jin and Xiao He. This place was not far from the old apes' territory, and soon he would reach the old ape's previous location on Lake Center Island. Whether it was still there, he did not know. Thinking this, Lin Jing continued forward. Soon, Lin Jing reached the lakeside where the old ape used to reside. Looking across the lake, Lin Jing was taken aback to find that Lake Center Island, where the five-element spirit tree had been, had completely disappeared. The entire island, along with the five-element spirit tree, had vanished without a trace. Seeing this, Lin Jing furrowed his brow and directly extended his divine sense toward the center of the lake. He saw that where the island should have been, there was now only a flat lake bed. This lake bed was extremely smooth, not naturally formed, as if someone had directly sheared off the entire island. Seeing this, Lin Jing frowned and pondered. Could they have met with an accident? No. From the three scenes I saw before, I clearly saw Xiao Jin and Xiao He. They should not have encountered any accidents. Thinking this, Lin Jing stretched out his divine sense to explore outward, hoping to find traces of Xiao Jin and Xiao He. However, after extending his divine sense, Lin Jing searched around but failed to find any trace of the two beasts or the old ape. And besides these three, within the range of Lin Jing's divine sense, he could not detect any other demonic beasts above the nascent soul stage. Now, at the peak of his tribulation cultivation, his range of divine sense was expansive. If he couldn't find them, something must be wrong on Immortal Crossing Island. After exploring, Lin Jing withdrew his divine sense and then looked ahead. His position was still on the outskirts of Immortal Crossing Island, just past the lake and a bit further before reaching the more internal areas. Last time he had entered, the old ape had mentioned that the demonic beasts inside Immortal Crossing Island were even more formidable and extremely dangerous, posing potential deadly threats to Lin Jing. Thus, Lin Jing did not advance further inward after arriving here last time. However, this time, his cultivation had improved since the last time, and he was not afraid even if he truly encountered formidable demonic beasts. Therefore, he planned to venture further inside this time. Having made up his mind, Lin Jing did not hesitate, directly leaping into the air and flying toward the inner part of Immortal Crossing Island. While the outskirts of Immortal Crossing Island were limited in size, its inner areas were extensive. Lin Jing continued flying for several hours, but still could not traverse Immortal Crossing Island and remained in the internal areas. Along the way, he expanded his divine sense, exploring for any potentially appearing demonic beasts. However, despite his exploration, he still found no traces of demonic beasts at the nascent soul stage or above. The highest he encountered were only at the golden core stage. As for demonic beasts above the golden core stage, they seemed to have vanished suddenly, all without a trace. And not just the demonic beasts, even the rare spirit plants were nowhere to be seen. Similar to the previously vanished Lake Center Island, the dense forest only contained multiple deep pits and open spaces. Besides, Lin Jing also realized the disappearance of all higher-level demonic beasts without any massive fight marks or the scent of blood. It was as if the high-level demonic beasts of Immortal Crossing Island had collectively relocated and left altogether. Following this, Lin Jing continued flying deeper into Immortal Crossing Island. In this manner, several more hours quickly passed. Lin Jing had finally traversed the inner part of Immortal Crossing Island and arrived at the central area of Immortal Crossing Island. Upon entering the center of Immortal Crossing Island, Lin Jing encountered something different, a transparent barrier. Upon seeing the transparent barrier, Lin Jing stopped moving forward and descended from the air, landing in front of the barrier. The barrier was completely transparent, allowing Lin Jing to see some scenes inside, though his divine sense could not penetrate through. This transparent barrier acted like a spatial partition, isolating everything beyond it. Had his divine sense not been blocked, Lin Jing might have easily overlooked it. Upon reaching the barrier, Lin Jing observed and tested it briefly, finding that the barrier seemed intended solely to block outsiders from entering the central area of Immortal Crossing Island and did not attack or counter. Since the barrier could block his divine sense, it certainly wasn't easy to break. Lin Jing looked at the clear barrier in front of him, choosing not to attempt breaking through. Rather than initiating, Lin Jing directly called out the system, silently saying to himself, "System, enter system space." Following that, the scene in front of Lin Jing blurred, and he was enveloped by the tearing force brought on by the teleport. The next moment, the scene in front of him cleared up, and Lin Jing found himself within the system space. After entering the system space, Lin Jing spoke again. "System, enter observation mode." Following that, the scene in front of Lin Jing changed again, and within the blink of an eye, his view shifted to the outside from observation mode. Once the observation perspective appeared, Lin Jing controlled the view and peered into the screen. When Lin Jing controlled the observation mode and ventured into the screen, he was instantly stunned by the sight within. The scene inside the screen was completely different from what could be seen on the outside. From the outside, the screen showed a lush, dense forest, but upon entering, Lin Jing saw a winding, rugged mountain range. Moreover, aside from the mountain range, Lin Jing also found traces of other demonic beasts. Moreover, this demonic beast Lin Jing had seen before. It was the black bear that had attempted to snatch the spirit fruit from the old ape at Lake Center Island when the 5-element spirit fruits matured. Despite so much time having passed, its unique aura still allowed Lin Jing to recognize it immediately. Since this black bear was here, the old ape, as well as Little Gold and Little Black, were likely also present. Afterwards, Lin Jing continued to control the observation view and explore further inside. This time, unlike previously in the outside world, inside the screen, there were numerous demonic beasts with high cultivation levels. Not far ahead, Lin Jing saw 2 shadows, one gold and one black, swiftly streaking across the sky in front of the observation view. Seeing this, Lin Jing quickly controlled the observation perspective to look at those 2 shadows. Indeed, as Lin Jing expected, the 2 shadows were none other than the golden giant eagle, Little Gold, and the black hawk, Little Black. At that moment, Little Gold was leading, with Little Black following closely, both moving at high speed, playfully chasing each other. Seeing this, Lin Jing couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. As long as they were all right. However, just as the 2 creatures were playfully chasing each other, suddenly a gray shadow appeared from below, rushing towards them. The gray shadow was faster. In an instant, it appeared directly in front of Little Gold. Then Little Gold was suddenly startled and quickly flapped its wings to stop its forward flying motion. At this point, Lin Jing also caught a clear glimpse of the gray shadow. It was the venerable senior, the old ape. Seeing the sudden appearance of the old ape, not only Little Gold, but also Little Black behind quickly stopped. Upon seeing the stern expression on the old ape's face, the 2 creatures immediately drooped their heads, resembling children who had made mistakes. "Come, follow me back," the old ape said to the 2 creatures. After speaking, it turned around and flew down into the mountains below. Little Gold and Little Black, head still drooped, followed the old ape down as well. Seeing this, Lin Jing also controlled the observation perspective to follow the 3 creatures into the mountain range below. Entering the mountains, the 3 creatures came to a valley below and then descended into it. Lin Jing, controlling the observation perspective, also entered the valley. As soon as he entered the valley, Lin Jing noticed a lake at the center of the valley, and at the center of the lake was an island identical to the one he had seen in the outside world, where the 5-element spirit tree Lin Jing had once tended grew. Seeing this, Lin Jing instantly understood. It seemed they had relocated. The 5-element spirit tree had also been moved from the previous island to this location. Back on the island, the old ape, facing the 2 creatures, spoke sternly. "You 2, running around again. Don't you know that Immortal Crossing Island is about to open, and you can't just go out as you please? If you accidentally leave the range of the light screen, once you go out, you can't come back, and when the external cultivators arrive at Immortal Crossing Island, they will capture and roast both of you." Upon hearing this, the 2 creatures couldn't help but shiver, Then they quickly lowered their heads and whimpered softly, as if they knew they were in the wrong. Seeing this, the old ape seemed to feel pity, and he sighed helplessly. Forget it. Though you two are mischievous, at least you know what's important and wouldn't easily leave, right? The two creatures nodded repeatedly. Little Gold even came closer, stretched out its head, and rubbed against the old ape, seemingly demonstrating its good behavior. The old ape found this comforting and gently stroked Little Gold's head while speaking. This place is different from where we used to live. Aside from us, there are other demonic beasts that have moved here too. If you accidentally provoke them, even I might find it hard to rescue you. Do you understand? The two creatures whined and nodded continuously, indicating that they understood. Little Gold even gestured and chirped at the old ape, seemingly saying that neither it nor Little Black had invaded any other demonic beast territory. The old ape watched Little Gold's gesticulation and suddenly paused. Then, the old ape stared at the two creatures for a long time until a while later, he directly spoke to the two creatures. Did you two go again to that unoccupied mountain range in the north? Upon hearing what the old ape said, Little Gold froze, then immediately lowered its head, and Little Black did the same, burying its head into its chest after the old ape finished speaking. Speak! The old ape looked at the two creatures and spoke again, but his tone had become much harsher than before. Although Little Gold and Little Black could not speak, they still possessed intelligence like two children, and the creatures seemed to realize their mistake. After a moment, the two creatures slightly raised their heads, glanced at each other. After eye contact, the two creatures slowly raised their heads to look at the old ape again. Then, after hesitating for a while, the two creatures nodded slightly. But right after nodding, they again lowered their heads, as if preparing themselves for the upcoming storm. Seeing the two creatures admit, the fire that had just subsided in the old ape flared up again. Then, no longer indulging the two creatures, the old ape directly scolded. You two really don't know what's good for you. Last time, a demonic beast at the Dao integration stage had just gone in to explore that place and disappeared, and there's still no news. How long has it passed? And you two run there again. Don't you know that the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus might possibly be located there on our Immortal Crossing Island? That place is so dangerous. Yet you dare to go there. Are you not wishing to live? Little Gold, upon hearing this, buried its head even lower, while Little Black, at that moment, moved forward a bit and pulled out a dark vine root from its shiny black feathers. This vine root was equally dark. As an alchemist, Lin Jing immediately recognized that this vine root was a grade 7 spirit plant, one of the supporting herbs used in making the longevity life extension elixir. After pulling out the dark vine root, Little Black placed it right in front of the old ape. The old ape took the vine root, looked at it carefully, and then directly spoke. You two, even if there are high-grade spiritual plants there, you can't just venture out like that. Don't you realize how dangerous that place is? Furthermore, I naturally know that there are many rare plants there. But you can't just go there casually, and you mustn't go there anymore. As the old ape continued to preach, the two creatures kept their heads down, not daring to lift them, enduring the scolding. As Lin Jing watched this, he silently controlled the observation perspective, leaving the scene. The old ape, Little Gold, and Little Black were all safe, and Lin Jing was relieved. He also decided not to disturb them, choosing not to meet them. From what the old ape had said, Lin Jing learned that the mountain range to the north was potentially the location of the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus. Furthermore, since Lin Jing had seen Little Gold and Little Black in the second picture, it was very likely that the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus was there. Lin Jing planned to head there now, to the northern mountain range, to investigate. Lin Jing left the old ape and controlled the observation angle, continuing to explore northward. On the way, he passed by some other peaks and encountered other demonic beasts, and finally, after some time, Lin Jing arrived within a serene mountain range. Here, there were no demonic beasts, but there were many rare spirit plants, More importantly, Lin Jing felt a strangely familiar sensation about this place. Upon seeing this mountain range, Lin Jing swiftly recalled the second image he had previously seen. After comparing his memories, he realized that the terrain here closely resembled that depicted in the image just before it had disappeared. Having confirmed his rough location, Lin Jing then proceeded forward based on the location displayed in that second image. As Lin Jing continued onward, finally, as he passed over a mountain peak, the scene suddenly changed dramatically from before. Upon reaching this location, everything became familiar. This was the exact location shown in the second image, where the transcendent celestial golden lotus was indicated. Upon arriving, Lin Jing completely set his mind at ease. Then, Lin Jing continued moving forward, and before long, he saw the mountain spring pool covered in green algae and the decayed black lotus that was in the second image. However, unlike last time, there were skeletal remains of a demonic beast beside the pool. It seemed that a demonic beast had died here. At this moment, Lin Jing recalled the old ape's words and immediately understood that this must be the Dao integration demonic beast that had come to explore here. A Dao integration demonic beast dying here did not surprise Lin Jing. After all, this was the location of the transcendent celestial golden lotus, which, like the samsara holy fruit, is one of the 3 great world fruits. Seeing that the samsara holy fruit could devour a person's vitality, the transcendent celestial golden lotus must also possess other unknown special dangers. Now, having reached the location of the transcendent celestial golden lotus, Lin Jing did not rashly leave the system space. The dangers associated with the transcendent celestial golden lotus were still unclear to him, hence the need for utmost caution. At this time, the last thing he should do was leave the system space. Instead, he should first use observation mode to explore and see what dangers the transcendent celestial golden lotus posed. Following that, Lin Jing controlled the observational angle, diving into the algae-covered pool. Just as he entered the pool, Lin Jing spotted dangers lurking beneath the water. Several varicolored, serpent-like demonic beasts continuously roamed beneath the algae. Occasionally, they would lift their heads with eyes emitting a green glow, peering through the water surface at the outside world. Seeing nothing unusual outside, they would retract their heads and continue roaming as before. These serpent-like demonic beasts, aside from their colorful appearance which made them seem highly dangerous, also had sharp fangs several inches long at the corners of their mouths. Seeing this, Lin Jing understood. These serpent-like demonic beasts were probably specifically guarding the transcendent celestial golden lotus. Below the visible black lotus on the water surface was a pitch-dark lotus stalk, and Lin Jing controlled the observational angle, following the stalk downward. At the bottom of the pool, he discovered a huge snake that was dozens of meters long and several fathoms wide. This giant snake was significantly larger than the ones Lin Jing had seen earlier. Its colors were also more vivid. At the moment, the giant snake was sleeping with its eyes closed. Beneath its coiled body, at the root of the black lotus, a few traces of colorful light peeked through. It seemed that this must be the root of the transcendent celestial golden lotus. Lin Jing controlled the observational angle and maneuvered around the coiled body of the giant snake, probing beneath it. He indeed saw a segment of lotus root with 9 colors, embedded in the mud under the giant snake. However, half of that lotus root had turned black. Only the latter half still displayed the 9 colors. After exploring, Lin Jing soon realized. It seemed this black lotus was indeed the transcendent celestial golden lotus, with the blackened portion likely having rotted. Only the half emitting the colorful light was the intact transcendent celestial golden lotus. After exploring, Lin Jing instantly made a decision. If he wanted to acquire the transcendent celestial golden lotus, he would need to act as quickly as he did with the samsara holy fruit. Otherwise, not only would those colorful serpent-like demonic beasts potentially attack, but the giant snake at the bottom of the pool would likely emerge immediately. Since that giant snake and those serpent-like demonic beasts could stay by the transcendent celestial golden lotus, they must not be underestimated and treated like ordinary demonic beasts. Although Lin Jing had now reached the transcendent tribulation stage of cultivation, he did not want to accidentally turn into a pile of bones due to carelessness. However, when he had retrieved the samsara holy fruit, the system space had been unable to operate for a period. Being one of the 3 major world seeds, acquiring this transcendent celestial golden lotus would likely result in the same situation. In that case, when collecting the transcendent celestial golden lotus, he needed to prepare more thoroughly to deal specifically with any attacks from those serpent-like demonic beasts. After deciding, Lin Jing immediately exited observation mode. Then, Lin Jing adjusted his own state and also prepared the Jinhong furnace in advance. Once everything was ready, Lin Jing immediately activated the fixed-point teleportation function. Using the fixed-point teleportation function, Lin Jing chose a teleportation location not far from the mountain spring pool. Ding! System notification. Host uses fixed-point teleportation, deducting 1 harvest point. Current remaining harvest points, 137,254. With the activation of fixed-point teleportation, in the next moment, Lin Jing's vision began to blur, and he felt a tearing force generated by the teleportation coursing through his body. Then the next moment, Lin Jing left the system space and appeared at the location he had just selected. As soon as Lin Jing appeared, he heard the system's prompt tone. Ding! System prompt. Congratulations to the host for finding one of the 3 great world seeds, the transcendent celestial golden lotus, and for receiving the reward, 1 million harvest points. Ding! System prompt. The transcendent celestial golden lotus is currently being collected and no operations within the system space can be performed. Please wait momentarily, host. As the system's prompt fell, a force belonging to the system space extended, enveloping the transcendent celestial golden lotus. This force instantly alarmed the colorful snake-like demonic beasts in the water. In a flash, they surged out of the water towards Lin Jing. So fast, seeing the demonic beasts charging towards him, Lin Jing couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, having barely reacted in time despite prior preparation. Though the aura emitted by these snake-like demonic beasts was much weaker than Lin Jing's, their speed was extraordinary. Furthermore, as they attacked, Lin Jing clearly saw the sharp fangs they bared, glistening with colorful pearls of light, which Lin Jing knew immediately must be a potent poison. However, fortunately, Lin Jing had made preparations in advance. As the snake-like demonic beasts flew towards him, the Jinhong furnace had just been infused with spiritual power, forming a golden light barrier around it. Bang! 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 Several loud impacts were heard as the demonic beasts, caught off guard, collided directly with the golden light barrier surrounding the Jinhong furnace. The massive force of the impact made Lin Jing take 2 steps back. As for the snake-like demonic beasts, after the collision, they were left dazed and dropped to the ground. Seeing this, Lin Jing immediately flipped the furnace, positioning its mouth towards the fallen demonic beasts. Then he activated the 5 elements divine art and used the Jinhong furnace. Instantly, multicolored rays of light surged out of the Jinhong furnace. Upon touching these rays, the still dizzy beasts that hadn't reacted let out piercing shrieks. Enveloped by the multicolored light, the bodies of the beasts disintegrated as if they were decayed over many years, falling apart at the slightest touch. And like that, the snake-like demonic beasts struggled in immense pain, their flesh dissolving away continuously. In no time at all, the flesh of the demonic beasts completely disintegrated, leaving nothing behind but clean, white bones. After resolving the crisis brought by these snake-like demonic beasts, Lin Jing was just thinking of relaxing a little when an even greater danger loomed. At this moment, the entire transcendent celestial golden lotus was enveloped by the power of the system space and was slowly rising from the green algae-filled mountain spring pool. The giant serpent that had been slumbering at the bottom of the pool was also awakened. It raised its head from the water and looked at Lin Jing with its bright, large eyes. The aura of the giant serpent was much stronger than that of the smaller snake-like demonic beasts, and was even more terrifying than Lin Jing's. Lin Jing estimated that the giant serpent's cultivation level must be at least in the late Mahayana stage. Upon seeing Lin Jing, the giant serpent immediately opened its huge mouth, ready to launch an attack. However, just at that moment, the system wrapped around the Transcendent celestial golden lotus and disappeared, taking it into the system space. As soon as the Transcendent celestial golden lotus was brought into the system space, a sudden change occurred. The pool that the Transcendent celestial golden lotus had been planted in suddenly transformed. An extremely terrifying suction force emanated from it. In an instant, the water in the pool vanished, leaving behind only a bottomless, dark hole whose destination was unknown. Even the giant serpent that had been about to attack Lin Jing was taken by surprise by the terrifying suction from the black hole and was drawn into it. Just as Lin Jing hadn't had time to rejoice, the suction from the black hole increased again and pulled Lin Jing in as well. The gravitational pull generated by the black hole was exceptionally powerful, yet fortunately, Lin Jing's cultivation was not low. Although he was sucked into the black hole, Lin Jing was not injured. However, inside the black hole, Lin Jing couldn't control his own body. He could only be dragged along by the terrifying gravitational force and plummet deeper into the black hole. This time, for some unknown reason, although the system had already swallowed the Transcendent celestial golden lotus into the system space, the system space still hadn't returned to normal. None of the functions of the system space could be used. Lin Jing could only be dragged toward the depths of the black hole, unable to enter the system space to hide. During this process, Lin Jing could even see the giant serpent in front of him, also immobilized, its body unable to move. But its two gleaming eyes were staring fixedly at him. In the abyss-like black hole, Lin Jing and the serpent fell for a long time. After roughly several hours, Lin Jing finally saw a speck of light in the pitch-black bottom of the hole. Lin Jing looked toward the bottom of the hole and found that, apart from the pitch darkness, there were occasional twinkling lights. It looked just like the starry night sky. Very soon, Lin Jing and the serpent drew closer to the luminous bottom of the hole, and the bottom that resembled a starry sky was almost within reach. Just then, the serpent in front vanished without a trace. While Lin Jing was puzzled, he felt as if he had been flung out, passing through a barrier, and had arrived in a special space. After coming out, Lin Jing immediately looked around. This place was pitch black, with no sky or ground, and not even spiritual energy existed. Only specks of stars and the endless void remained. Lin Jing was now floating in this void. Seeing everything around him, Lin Jing suddenly thought of a place, the outer spatial void. Only the outer spatial void could be like this. Had he been thrown directly into the outer spatial void by the black hole? But before Lin Jing could get a clear view, a terrifying presence came from beside him. Lin Jing swiftly turned and looked in that direction. He saw that the giant serpent was now glaring at him, lunging towards him. However, just at that moment, the pleasing sound of the system's prompt came once again. Ding! System prompt. The collection of the Samsara holy fruit is complete. System space functions have been restored to normal. At this critical moment, Lin Jing was finally able to enter the system space once again. With his current level of cultivation, Lin Jing was certainly no match for the serpent. It was better to flee immediately. So, Lin Jing didn't hesitate and directly summoned the system, entering the system space. As Lin Jing entered the system space, only the giant serpent, stunned to see Lin Jing suddenly disappear, was left behind at the original spot. After entering the system space, Lin Jing didn't delay, not even taking a moment to look at the transcendent celestial golden lotus that had been collected into the system space. He immediately activated observation mode, reappearing in the outside world with an observer's view. At this moment, Lin Jing saw the serpent snap out of its daze and then quickly reacted. Soon after, the serpent let out an angry hiss, and after the hissing, it frantically searched nearby for Lin Jing's figure, as if it had gone mad. Presumably, it thought that Lin Jing was hiding nearby, concealed in form. Meanwhile, Lin Jing, within observation mode, watched the serpent and also surveyed the surroundings. This was a space of void, dark everywhere, with only some distant twinkling stars adding a touch of detail to this pitch-black space. This place was very similar to the descriptions of the outer spatial void that Lin Jing had seen in the Elixir Alliance's scripture pavilion. If nothing unexpected happened, this was probably the outer spatial void. Looking at this space, Lin Jing couldn't help feeling somewhat speechless. He hadn't expected the outer spatial void that others tried countless methods to reach. He had blundered into so foolishly. Inside the boundless void, the giant serpent continuously searched for Lin Jing's traces, angrily shattering any occasional drifting meteorites with its tail. This scene was fully captured by Lin Jing in observation mode. He chose not to rashly go out, but rather watched as the giant serpent went mad. Originally, Lin Jing had planned to leave on his own after the serpent had calmed down. However, just as the serpent was raging, its body suddenly split open in the middle for some unknown reason. The split was extremely neat, as if it had been cleaved by some invisible sword. Moreover, the wound was very deep, almost severing the serpent into two. The appearance of this terrifying wound immediately caused the serpent to panic and hastily move away from the area it had just been in. Seeing this, Lin Jing suddenly remembered the description of the outer spatial void he had seen in the Elixir Alliance's scripture pavilion. Spatial cracks. Spatial cracks were crises that could appear at any time in the outer spatial void, capable of severing anything. Even the hardest Taoist treasure in the world could not withstand it. Moreover, spatial cracks appeared silently and invisibly. Only by using divine sense to probe could one detect signs of them, and thus avoid them in advance. Actually, in the outer spatial void, crises like spatial cracks were nothing unusual. There were naturally even more dangerous occurrences. One of them was the spatial vortex. Although spatial vortices appeared less frequently than spatial cracks, and were not as concealed as spatial cracks, spatial vortices were far more dangerous. Spatial cracks could be detected early and avoided by divine sense. And even if one did encounter smaller spatial cracks, at most they would result in injury, not posing a real threat to life. But spatial vortices were different. Once a spatial vortex appeared, it would engulf all cultivators nearby, and within the range of the vortex, no matter how they tried to escape, they could not. Once caught in a spatial vortex, one could only watch helplessly as they were sucked into the center of the vortex, disappearing without a trace. As to where the spatial vortex would transport those it engulfed, it was unknown. After all, no one who had been sucked into a spatial vortex had ever reappeared. The giant serpent, almost severed into two halves by the spatial crack, looked towards the area it had just left, sensing danger but unable to find anything. This circumstance terrified the serpent. After turning its head to look around and finding nothing, it glanced one last time at the place where the spatial crack had appeared, then immediately dragged its injured body and fled from the area. After the serpent left, Lin Jing controlled the observational viewpoint to look towards the place where the spatial crack had appeared. The appearance of spatial cracks was unpredictable in time and location, but each occurrence did not last long, especially those smaller cracks, which usually only appeared for a moment before disappearing. By the time Lin Jing probed, the spatial crack had already disappeared, leaving nothing behind except the blood spilt from the serpent's wound, floating nearby. After observing, Lin Jing exited observation mode and returned to the system space. Upon returning to system space, the first thing Lin Jing did was go to the edge of system space, to the place of the three separate zones, to check the newly acquired Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus. Immortal Tao Realm World Seed. Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus. Incomplete. Growth Environment. Transcendent Lotus Pond. Growth lifespan. The lifespan of the World Seed is tied to the Immortal Tao Realm. As long as the Immortal Tao Realm exists, the World Seed thrives. If the Immortal Tao Realm perishes, the World Seed too will vanish. Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus, one of the three major World Seeds of the Immortal Tao Realm, possesses the power of transcendence. Note, the World Seed is currently incomplete and can't produce the power of transcendence. The transcendental power possessed by the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus allows cultivators to surpass the void immortal phase and achieve true immortality. Infusing Immortal Yuan is required to repair its incomplete state and restore its transcendental power to its normal condition. Seeing the information about the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus, Lin Jing couldn't help but feel puzzled. Void immortal phase, true immortal. Could this be the classification of realms after achieving immortality? That's what the description seemed to indicate. The realms after achieving immortality had never been widely known. If it were the ancient era, when the channels between the immortal realm and the cultivation world for ascension were still open, perhaps people then might have known. But now, with the immortal realm closed off, it had been 1,000,000 years since anyone had ascended. As for the few remaining pieces of information about the immortal realm left behind before, not to mention the classification of realms after ascension, such highly confidential matters were even less likely to be known. Naturally, Lin Jing did not know either. After checking the Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus, Lin Jing subsequently closed the system panel and then left the system space. Like the Samsara Holy Fruit, the Transcendent Golden Lotus was also in an incomplete state and required Immortal Yuan for repair. Now that he knew the current situation of the Transcendent Golden Lotus, staying in the system space was meaningless. Lin Jing reasoned it would be better to find a way to locate Immortal Yuan. Of course, before looking for Immortal Yuan, he definitely needed to establish his current location and then find a way to leave and return to the cultivation world. After transporting him and the giant serpent, the black hole had disappeared. Lin Jing wanted to return through the black hole, but could not. Now, to get back to the cultivation world, he would have to find another method. Or, he could choose not to return. He could go looking for Elder Bai and the forefathers of the Cangyun clan. Elder Bai and the Cangyun clan's forefathers had left for the outer spatial void and had not returned since. Having arrived in the outer spatial void myself, naturally, I could also try to find out about their whereabouts. Moving in the void required the constant use of divine sense to search for any possible spatial cracks. After coming out of the system space, Lin Jing immediately urged his divine sense to unfold in the void. However, as soon as he did, Lin Jing immediately realized his divine sense was severely suppressed, and the range he could explore was roughly only 1/10 of what it had been before. Such suppression of divine sense caused Lin Jing's brows to furrow. The suppression of divine sense was not a small matter. It would inevitably affect his speed, increase the time required for his exploration, and make him even more vulnerable. The outer spatial void was already vast and boundless, and encountering other cultivators here was extremely difficult. Furthermore, finding a way back was even more challenging. Now that his divine sense was suppressed, his speed of exploration had slowed down quite a bit. With this method, it seemed it might take an unknown amount of time to leave. Looking at the endless void before him, Lin Jing subsequently thought of the system space. With the range of divine sense limited, the observation mode of the system space was not part of divine sense, and, presumably, it should not be restricted. With this in mind, Lin Jing immediately activated observation mode. In observation mode, after experimenting, Lin Jing found that using observation mode to explore was the same as always, unaffected by any restrictions. In this case, it would be easy to handle. Lin Jing could use divine sense to explore for possible dangers around him, while also using observation mode to explore farther distances, thus slowly determining his whereabouts. Subsequently, after observing, Lin Jing found that in the direction where he was located, 3 directions were completely void, with not even a flicker of starlight to be seen. Only one direction had twinkling stars. Lin Jing then set off in this seemingly different direction. The void was vast, with only floating meteors and the occasional appearance of spatial cracks. Lin Jing had traveled in this void for many months, but he had not encountered any living creatures, not even the fleeing giant serpent he'd seen before. In the void, unable to determine his position, he did not know where he was or how far he was from the gathering place of cultivators in the void. Even the direction he was heading in, he could not be sure whether it was right or not. But Lin Jing could only keep moving in this one direction, hoping to encounter other cultivators. That day, after traveling a distance, Lin Jing entered the system's space to rest for a moment. After resting, he planned to set off again. However, before leaving the system space, Lin Jing habitually used observation mode to check his surroundings. Since entering the outer spatial void, in order to avoid accidents, Lin Jing always explored his environment before leaving the system space to ensure his safety. However, this exploration brought him an unexpected joy. In observation mode, Lin Jing discovered 2 cultivators had entered his exploration range. This discovery made Lin Jing breathe a sigh of relief. What Lin Jing feared the most was being transported to some unknown area of the outer spatial void. The outer spatial void was boundless, and its scope was incalculable. If he truly got lost in the outer spatial void, it would be really troublesome. Fortunately, in just a few months, he had encountered other cultivators, which proved that his transmission location was not particularly remote. As long as he reached the gathering place of the human race in the void, everything would be easier to handle. The 2 people were an elder and a middle-aged cultivator, both of whom had peculiar attire that Lin Jing had never seen before, which was also significantly different from what he was accustomed to seeing. From this, it could be inferred that these 2 were likely not from the Xianxing realm, but from other parts of the cultivation world. After seeing the 2, Lin Jing did not rashly appear, but instead controlled the observation mode's perspective to follow them. He wanted to see if he could obtain some useful information from their conversation. The 2 seemed to be searching for something, flying forward while observing their surroundings. After searching for a while, the 2 stopped, apparently communicating with divine sense for a moment. After their exchange, the 2 landed on a huge meteor floating in the void. After stopping, the elder among them took out an array plate and then took out a supreme Great Spirit stone to activate it. Once the array plate was activated, the formation in it immediately appeared and enveloped both of them. Seeing the formation begin to operate, the 2 sat down cross-legged and began to meditate to recuperate. Seeing this, Lin Jing understood. It turned out that the array plate the elder had taken out was one used to convert the spiritual power within spirit stones into spiritual energy. There was no spiritual power in this outer spatial void, and if there was a loss of spiritual power, one could only recover it through spirit stones or other spiritual objects. And at this moment, they were indeed recuperating their spiritual power. While they were recovering their spiritual power, Lin Jing did not rashly show himself, but continued to use observation mode, watching and quietly waiting. Both of these people were in the Mahayana realm. The elder was in the late Mahayana phase, while the other, a middle-aged cultivator, was in the early Mahayana phase. Both of their cultivations were not low, and their recovery was very fast. In less than 4 hours, both had fully recovered and opened their eyes. As the 2 awoke, the middle-aged cultivator spoke to the elder. "Curved elder, now that we've almost recovered, if we encounter that giant snake again, we should be able to capture it directly." The elder nodded and said, "Exactly. When we meet it again, we will certainly be able to seize it." Lin Jing, upon hearing this, immediately understood what was going on. These 2 had come here in search of that giant snake. As the one known as Curved Elder finished speaking, the middle-aged man spoke up again, addressing the Curved Elder. "Curved Elder, actually, I still don't quite understand. Why would a giant snake suddenly appear in this land of immortal remnants, which is clearly a dead zone, and moreover, this giant snake seems to be an unclaimed demonic beast?" Curved Elder responded directly. Where this giant snake came from, I'm not too clear. But I felt a trace of an aura similar to immortal energy emanating from it. Immortal Yuan, the middle-aged cultivator couldn't help but exclaim. Curved Elder, are you saying that this giant snake may have come into contact with Immortal Yuan? That's a possibility. Saying this, Curved Elder paused for a moment, then turned his head, looked at the middle-aged cultivator, and said, You must know, the place we are at now is the land of immortal remnants. There have always been rumors that within this land of immortal remnants, there are 9 immortal Yuan hidden. It's just that no one has been able to find any trace of them. Although some believe this rumor, there are also some who think it's just an unfounded tale. However, 100 years ago, quite a few people witnessed an immortal Yuan tearing through the sky and entering the Xianxing realm. It was the appearance of this immortal Yuan that made everyone ecstatic, rushing to this land of immortal remnants to search for immortal Yuan. Especially within the Xianxing realm, those 2 old men with the surnames Bai and Cangyun, it said that they need immortal Yuan for a big matter and were more eager than anyone, arriving at this land of immortal remnants immediately. But after so many years of searching among the immortal Yuan of this land of immortal remnants, other than the 2 old men from the Xianxing realm who obtained one, no one else has ever been heard of obtaining this immortal Yuan. But now, I felt a trace of an aura similar to immortal Yuan from the breath of that giant snake. If we catch the giant snake, we might be able to use it to find another immortal Yuan. As long as we obtain the immortal Yuan, we can directly leave with it and return to the Cangyun realm. As long as we bring the immortal Yuan back to the sect without being discovered, we will have made a great contribution to the sect. As long as this matter is done covertly without anyone knowing, we will be absolutely safe and won't have to be hunted like those 2 old men from the Xianxing realm. At this point, the middle-aged man also couldn't help but sneer and then said, It's just that those 2 old men from the Xianxing realm had bad luck, being seen by quite a few at the time they obtained the immortal Yuan. Now they're trapped in the land of immortal remnants. Their allies outside probably still don't know their current situation. Even the exit of the land of immortal remnants has been blocked by us and the people from the Jilin realm. They are in a dire situation, unable to leave. They also won't be able to hold on to that immortal Yuan. Upon hearing the 2 men's conversation, Lin Jing couldn't help but frown. They suggested that this place was called the Land of Immortal Remnants, and Elder Bai and the ancient ancestor of the Cangyun clan seemed to have been cornered here because of immortal Yuan. Just as Lin Jing was planning to continue his inquiry, the 2 men ended their conversation and proceeded to search for the giant serpent. Unfortunately, the 2 had only conversed for such a brief moment before setting off to find the serpent, leaving Lin Jing with limited information, especially regarding Elder Bai and the ancient ancestor of the Cangyun clan, who were under siege and whether they were injured. freewebnovel.com. Lin Jing was utterly oblivious to these matters. And what exactly was the situation with the land of immortal remnants where he was currently? According to the 2, the land of immortal remnants didn't seem to be the outer spatial void, but a special space with an entrance and exit. Moreover, the entrance and exit were guarded by cultivators from the Cangyun realm and the Jilin realm. Lin Jing had been here for several months before encountering these 2, and if he missed them, he feared it would be a long time before he met others. Even if he met other people, it was highly likely they would still be cultivators from the Cangyun realm and the Jilin realm. After some contemplation, Lin Jing decided to take a risk and make contact with these 2 men to see if he could get any valuable information from them. Of course, he couldn't just approach them directly. If he appeared rashly, it would surely raise the 2 men's guard, and they would be doubly wary of him. To make contact, it was imperative to do so casually, and it would be best to be seen as one of them. Pretending to be one of their own was easy. When dealing with Mingyi, Lin Jing had encountered the sole remnant of a demon cultivator from the Cangyun realm, and inside Mingyi's space ring, there was also an identity token of that demon cultivator. Lin Jing still had a fresh memory of that demon cultivator's aura, capable of imitating it perfectly, and with that token, he could cause quite a deception. There was no need for him to follow them. He merely had to happen to run into them and ask a few questions, then he would leave on his own. Minimizing contact would also decrease the chance of exposing himself. Having made this decision, Lin Jing subsequently took out Mingyi's space ring and extracted the identity token from it. While retrieving the token, Lin Jing casually scanned the ring's contents and discovered several powerful talismans of the 8th and even 9th orders, preserved in special wooden cases. These talismans were so powerful that they could pose a threat to even Mahayana stage cultivators. For safety, Lin Jing carried these talismans on his person. After preparing, Lin Jing then activated the Cangyun hidden technique to start changing his body shape, appearance, and even his aura. In no time, a middle-aged man with a lean figure, exuding demonic qi, appeared within the system space. This man, with eyes cold and sharp, his whole body swirling with demonic qi, and the fearsome token at his waist, resembled none other than a peerless demon lord. Naturally, this middle-aged man was Lin Jing in disguise, and with the help of the Cangyun hidden technique, the ruse was nearly perfect. For brief interactions, the two were likely unable to discern the truth. After his disguise, Lin Jing used observation mode to scout ahead in the direction the two were traveling. Once he determined their direction, he used fixed-point teleportation to carefully avoid them, then repeatedly teleported ahead of them until he was in their path. Fortunately, the two were preoccupied with searching for traces of the giant serpent and weren't moving fast, which allowed Lin Jing to get in front of them. Once he arrived at the chosen location, Lin Jing exited the system space and, like the two other cultivators, pretended to be searching for something. While pretending to search, Lin Jing also engaged observation mode to keep an eye on the two men's positions. Soon, through Lin Jing's careful planning, the three met. Upon seeing Lin Jing, the two men were startled and came to a halt, while at that same moment, Lin Jing also turned to look at them and slightly furrowed his brow. Then, the middle-aged cultivator among the two men raised his hand, cupped his fist toward Lin Jing, and transmitted a message. "May I ask, friend, are you a person from the Youjiu demonic path?" Hearing this, Lin Jing, with furrowed brows, looked at the two and replied through transmission. "Who might you be?" The middle-aged man responded. "We are from the Liyue Dao sect of the Shi-Tsang continent." After speaking, he pointed toward the elder at his side and transmitted once more. "This is Elder Chu from our sect." Hearing this, Lin Jing turned to look at the elder. As Lin Jing looked at the elder, the latter also fixed his gaze on Lin Jing, and despite the distance between them, Lin Jing could clearly see a light glimmering within the elder's eyes, which sharpened and became more intense and captivating. Upon seeing the elder's eyes, Lin Jing instantly felt as if the elder had seen right through him, and all of his disguises seemed to become ineffective at that moment. This sudden turn of events startled Lin Jing. But it was the elder who made the first move, the palm of his hand opening to reveal a giant hand formed from spiritual power, rapidly reaching out toward Lin Jing. It was only after Lin Jing's concealment had completely failed that the middle-aged cultivator reacted. Seeing Lin Jing's cultivation at the Transcendent tribulation stage, his face contorted with rage as he charged toward Lin Jing. However, Lin Jing had already swiftly taken out an extremely powerful 9th order talisman and thrown it out as soon as the elder breached his disguise. Both of them had higher cultivation levels than Lin Jing, and the elder was even in the late Mahayana realm, a whole great realm apart. Lin Jing was definitely no match for the two of them. Therefore, Lin Jing was very decisive. When his identity was exposed, he promptly threw out his strongest 9th level talisman, momentarily halting their pursuit. As expected, those talismans were extraordinary. As soon as Lin Jing threw them, they emitted a terrifying aura, and soon after, a massive thunder dragon appeared. Seeing the terrifying thunder dragon, the middle-aged cultivator's expression changed, and he quickly retreated. Even the giant hand formed from spiritual power was instantly dispersed by the thunder dragon. And that wasn't all. After dispersing the spiritual power giant hand, the Thunder Dragon continued relentlessly, charging towards the two Cangyun realm cultivators. Seeing the Thunder Dragon approaching, they hastily retreated while simultaneously using their Taoist treasures and spells constantly to drain the Thunder Dragon's spiritual power. Seeing that the two were too preoccupied to care, Lin Jing seized the opportunity, turned around, and fled the scene. After getting some distance away, Lin Jing decisively summoned the system and entered the system space. It was only after entering the system space that Lin Jing finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was very puzzled. He had disguised himself well, yet they recognized him immediately upon encounter. This was a problem Lin Jing needed to clarify. Therefore, after entering the system space, Lin Jing immediately activated observation mode, located those two Cangyun realm cultivators, and continued to observe them. The 9th level talisman was indeed extraordinary. Even after Lin Jing had entered the system space, the Thunder Dragon had transformed and it continued to wreak havoc for a good, while before its power was completely exhausted and it dissipated. It was only after the 9th level talisman completely vanished that the two finally relaxed. That damn cultivator. The middle-aged cultivator still had fury in his eyes as he looked in the direction Lin Jing had escaped, and he cursed. After cursing, the middle-aged cultivator turned to the elder and asked, "Elder Chu, you were so decisive earlier. You directly used the divine art Eye of Truth on him as soon as he appeared. Did you sense something was off the moment he showed up?" Elder Chu, also looking in the direction Lin Jing had fled, replied, "Although he was well disguised, it was clear that he is not familiar with the Youjiu demonic path. People of Youjiu demonic path are naturally extremely arrogant, never courteous to anyone even in this land of immortal remnants. And this person is definitely not from our Cangyun realm or Jilin realm." The middle-aged cultivator nodded and said, "This time our Cangyun realm and Jilin realm collaborated to capture two elders from the Xianxing realm, only deploying cultivator from the Mahayana realm and above. This person is only at the Transcendent tribulation stage. He couldn't possibly be from our two realms." Elder Chu nodded slightly. "Exactly. He must also be from the Xianxing realm. Since he has appeared here, he won't escape today. Let's go. We'll catch up to him. With his cultivation, he won't get far, and we might even get some clues about the two elders, surnamed Bai and Cangyun, from him." HM. The middle-aged cultivator nodded in agreement, and then followed Elder Chu, chasing in the direction Lin Jing had left. After the two set out, Lin Jing also controlled the observation perspective, following behind them. But soon, the two left the range of Lin Jing's observation perspective. After they left, Lin Jing didn't hurry to leave. Instead, he continued using the observation perspective, watching and waiting for the two to return. Lin Jing's cultivation had been exposed. The two couldn't find him, and with his cultivation, he definitely couldn't run far with Mahayana cultivators in pursuit. They would chase for a while, fail to find any traces of him, and would surely return. Lin Jing was very sure of this. Sure enough, before long, the two returned. At the same time, that look reappeared in Elder Chu's eyes. Clearly, he had once again activated his divine art named Eye of Truth. After the two returned, Elder Chu first looked around the area, and after observing, his brows furrowed. Then, Elder Chu stretched out his hand, placing 2 fingers on his forehead, then concentrated spiritual power in his eyes, making them shine even brighter. At that moment, Elder Chu turned his head again and looked around. After a while, he seemed to have found something when he looked at a certain location, paused for a moment, and then directly went to that location. Lin Jing, seeing this, couldn't help but feel amazed. Phoebnovel.com. This person's divine skills were so formidable, because the place he had discovered was a location Lin Jing had just passed by. In this boundless void, just passing through this place would hardly leave any traces. Even if a bit of aura was left behind, it would likely dissipate quickly. Moreover, Lin Jing had deliberately reduced his movements when he left, but he was still discovered by this person's divine skills. However, fortunately, Lin Jing was inside the system space, so even if he had been discovered, it was unlikely anything could be tracked down. Thus, Elder Chu used his divine arts to continuously follow the route Lin Jing had taken before, step by step investigating, and eventually stopped at the location where Lin Jing had entered the system space. Seeing Elder Chu stop, the middle-aged cultivator was somewhat puzzled and then asked, "Elder Chu, why did you suddenly stop?" Elder Chu frowned and then spoke. "His aura disappeared here." Disappeared? The middle-aged man turned to look around, showing a hint of confusion. In the land of immortal remnants, how could he just disappear? Elder Chu withdrew his divine skills and then rubbed his temples before speaking. At the place where he disappeared, I faintly sensed a trace of spatial energy left by teleportation. If nothing unexpected happened, he must have used a teleportation talisman to escape directly. Teleportation talisman. Hearing this, the middle-aged man couldn't help but gasp. A teleportation talisman in the outer spatial void is something that can save one's life. If accidentally entangled by a spatial vortex, one can use a teleportation talisman to escape. Such a precious talisman to be used like that. He's really squandering it. And he also used a rank 9 Thunder Dragon talisman just now, which is equally rare. He just used it without hesitation. This person must be very wealthy. I fear the force behind him in the Xianxing realm is also not simple. And looking at his appearance, his age must not be very great. He must be a sacred son or a young master of some top force, right? After the middle-aged cultivator finished speaking, Elder Chu looked towards the place where Lin Jing had disappeared and said, "No matter who he is, within this land of immortal remnants, he can't escape. He has only one way out if he wants to leave. We, people from the Cangyun realm and the Jilin realm, have already blocked the land of immortal remnants. Even the only exit is being guarded. Although his ability to camouflage and hide is indeed good and can deceive most people, his cultivation is only at the tribulation stage, which is his biggest flaw. As soon as he steps into the exit, his tribulation stage cultivation will inevitably be unable to hide, and then he will certainly die." That's right. The middle-aged cultivator, hearing this, nodded repeatedly in agreement. The people from our Cangyun realm and Jilin realm who came here are at least at the early Mahayana stage, while his cultivation is only at the tribulation stage. That is his biggest flaw. Even if he is able to camouflage, it's futile. As soon as he passes through the exit, he will definitely be exposed. Upon hearing the conversation of the two, Lin Jing couldn't help but fall silent. From their conversation, Lin Jing could guess that at that exit, there must be something that could detect one's cultivation, and it couldn't be hidden. If so, he couldn't continue like this. He needed to think of a way to transcend the heavenly tribulation and advance to the Mahayana realm first. While Lin Jing was contemplating, the two outside who couldn't track Lin Jing decided to leave. "Elder Chu, since that kid from the Xianxing realm has already escaped, let's not bother about that kid for now. Let's continue looking for that giant snake." Elder Chu nodded, saying, "Let's go. Let's continue chasing that giant snake."